Exploding Heads, episode 12. Welcome to it. I don't know why I said that.
Take two.
I've watched a lot of Star Wars recently, and I'm talking like Yoda. No, I don't take two on that intro. It's never happened. It never will. We're on here fucking warts and all.
Talking about Brandon's cock again, yeah. But...
That's a big wart.
Oh, yeah, like Porky's. Oh, no, that wasn't a
It's
wart.
the one with a mole on
Yeah, a mole, right. There was a mole on it. Nice. I knew a Canadian would have to fucking know Porky's.
Yes, of course.
Nice. All right.
Canadiana.
Yeah, this is our show. It's Exploding Heads Horror Podcast, episode 12. Yeah, welcome to it. I'm Dave, and you guys, why don't you introduce yourself since we're just being ridiculous today?
Well, I'm Christian.
Now that's horror.
Now that's horror. Now that's Brandon.
I am your host, Brandon Z.
BZ.
B to the Z. B Zizzle.
All right, B-Zizzle. Right on. So, okay, guys. Episode 12. Today we're going to be talking about ghosts. Kind of. In a way. In haunted houses. Kind of. This is quite an unusual show because we decided on our newer movie to be House on Pine Street, which was kind of advertised as a haunted house movie, and decided to also, continue on with our what we usually do in our format and do an older haunted house movie by the name of Burnt Offerings. And it's kind of strange that, now I've seen Burnt Offerings before. Have you guys seen it before or no?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes, two.
Oh, yes, two. Okay. Now, I'll tell you what. I've seen it twice before, but they were spaced out, and I might have been spaced out myself watching it, but that's another story. This time I was not. But it's weird because these movies are, like I said, they're advertised as haunted house, ghost, whatever, but they're both kind of unconventional, so we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about things like that. But right off the bat, I want to thank everybody that voted for the Listener's Choice episode, which is the next one.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Didn't
Lots
we get
of votes. A shitload.
Yeah. Wow. Holy shit. And yeah, unless the same 10 people voted, 40 times each or I don't know because
And you could, although I didn't look into it, but you could do that.
You could. See, the thing is, because everyone had to vote at least two.
Yeah.
When you set that up, you give them the option to vote for more than one. So, but I kind of said, just pick the two you want to vote for because it's going to be two movies. So, I don't know how many people violated the rule, whatever. It's not like, we care. We're going to pick the top two results. So,
Hey, we're rule breakers ourselves.
oh, yeah, shit.
Risk takers.
Yeah.
Heartbreakers.
Masturbators.
Oh, well, that goes without saying.
Yeah, I know. I just... what was I saying? Votes. So I'm going to announce our winners, and then I'm going to tell you something else about it, because it was a real close race, right?
It was. I was checking in like every 10 minutes. I really was. I'm not kidding. Like the top three choices. Like it was 3 movies competing for 2 spots.
It was great, and I guess I wasn't the only one. Okay, so I was checking a lot myself.
Yeah, I was. I was like, because I was interested, because there was one in particular that I wanted to cover. Although I gotta admit, a lot of the suggestions I wasn't expecting 90% of those suggestions. It just goes to show what the listeners want to hear, because I would have expected to see a lot more obscure stuff, and there was some pretty popular stuff on it that they really want us to talk about, which is good.
And I got to tell you that I wasn't checking in every 5 minutes. Yeah.
It's because he doesn't care about our
No, it's not. I was busy. I was traveling, as you know, but I did check in, and every now and then I'd be at that work event checking in, but it wasn't every 5 minutes. But I was really surprised, and it was actually kind of exciting to see what people were choosing. So I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, and I gotta say, I didn't know what to expect, but I could tell you I didn't expect the ones that came in to be the ones. But I mean, there were some mainstream, but it wasn't like somebody said, take a drink Friday the 13th. Nobody said that. Nobody said anything franchise. It was all, some kind of obscure thing, some other, one of them that made it is something that I figured might make it. The other one took me by surprise, but and Christian, we know, you're with the circus, and
no, but I do try to check in. Like, that's the downfall of having it on your phone. Well, not the downfall. The cool thing of having it on your phone, but the downfall when you're at work, and that's a distraction. So you try to limit those distractions as much as possible.
Yeah, and the weather's nice, and I know that it's a busy time of year for the circus, isn't it?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, see, I know. Have you moved up? Are you still washing the elephants, or are you guessing weight yet?
No, I'm still washing the elephant ass. Yeah,
damn,
bleaching them, in fact.
Oh, that's a segue.
Call back.
Be careful. That's how you get pink eye.
Yeah.
And a segue. Oh man! Oh, and I can't even segue it because we're talking about something else. Damn, it would have been perfect, but it's okay. We are going to talk about bleached assholes because I have something to mention about it. We have to go back to that one more time. But now, okay. Here's the winners. The top two, and they have a tie. And it's kind of interesting. We have House of the Devil, which that one took me by surprise because it's kind of recent, and I think it's a movie that a lot of podcasts covered when it first came out. Or, you know what I mean? It's something that you wouldn't be surprised to see on a podcast. Outside of like the franchise movies, it's just one of those movies that, you see discussed. Don't you guys agree that it's...
I agree. Not only that, it's also a very mixed reviewed film.
Yeah.
Especially considering, Ty West, people love him, people hate him. I was really shocked to see that one just explode.
Oh,
I do like that. Whoa, there goes my voice. See, I told you I kind of lost it, but no, I do like that film. I think it was like maybe a runner-up for the year when we did our top 40. But it's, I admittedly, I was surprised too, because it seems to get a lot of hate.
That it does, and it's just because it's recent. I didn't expect that. Now the other one that's a winner, that's more along the lines of what I was expecting something to come in, something that you don't hear covered much. And it's a movie that's known, but you don't hear a lot about it on podcasts. And, and that movie is Popcorn.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm looking forward to this House of the Devil and Popcorn. I really am.
Yeah.
Me too.
Me too.
So thanks again to everybody. It was real close because Popcorn made a big rush at the end. For the longest time, it was House of the Devil and New York Ripper just tearing shit up. They were there.
Tearing shit up.
Yeah, ripping it up. Right? But, yeah, so it ends up being Popcorn House of the Devil, so we're excited about that. That's the next show, listener's choice. You guys chose it, so we're going to do it straight up. Now, don't fear, because New York Ripper, we're going to get into that. That is going to be covered in one of our shows. And then right after that, the next two are Behind the Mask and Hush. I think Behind the Mask we're going to cover on one of our shows. Hush, we might even do that as our show 14. I don't know, because it's new. And if people want to hear about it, maybe we should do it.
Yeah, I was about to watch that, but I had to catch up. I wanted to watch House on Pine Street a second time, as well as Burnt Offerings. Even though I watched that a couple months ago, I really wanted to have a fresh view for the show. So I put Hush on the back burner. It's on Netflix. So
yep.
I'll put it on whenever.
I believe it or not, I've seen it twice now.
So by the time we cover it, you'll probably still not know what's going on.
I'll probably watch it 2 more times. I'll have to.
Hey, on a side note, because I like to do that a lot, I just saw The Voices for the first time ever. I absolutely loved it.
With Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Oh.
A lot of people hated that film, and I thought it was great.
It was phenomenal. It's
dark,
dark, comedic, but in a black comedic.
Yeah.
Black comedy sort of way. Holy crap. Dave, if you haven't seen it, check it out.
Is it at the show? What is this
It's
movie?
on Netflix. It supposedly came out 2 years ago, but I think it only recently got released.
Yeah, you could kind of tell it was made a few years ago. Ryan Reynolds looked even younger. Not that he looks old, but...
Oh, but the colors, like, it doesn't... It portrays as low budget, that's for sure. Like, it does not look ultra low budget. It's unsettling in certain scenes. Like, I watched it with my wife, and we were both like, oh, like the way that they were doing, like we're both Dysons. Oh, Whoa!
Nice.
Dueling
That's a
dices.
segue. That is a segue, believe it or not. You and your wife and dice. Wow. Holy shit. So it is horror.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Come on. Like I think you'll see. It'll say comedy, horror,
That's
and
okay.
there's comedy there, but it's not really waka comedy. And I got to tell you, Ryan Reynolds gives it a fantastic performance in this movie.
Nice.
I agree.
Nice. Okay. Well, I don't know how this got by me. That's weird. Doesn't happen much. The voices.
You were watching The Witch for like the 7th time.
Yeah, but this is from 2 years ago, he said.
Yeah, it was popular last year. It came out, I think.
I don't know how.
It was I think it was made in 2014 or 13, and then it came out last year. I almost had it. I was almost going to put it on like a top 25 list. I was going to make like a top 25 for last year, but once we were doing all those top 10 shows, I didn't even bother.
Right. Well, it got right by me, but yeah, we're gonna have to. I'll have to check it out. It's called Voices or The Voices.
The Voices.
Okay, and it's on Netflix currently.
The Canadian version.
Oh, this again. See, that's
It was on Netflix at one point. I'm not sure if it's still up there, but look into it.
you see now. There you go. It's Netflix. It's Canada, so it's probably not there. You guys don't even have the same iTunes as us. We just found out.
That just boggles my mind. I mean, if you write a review for something, it doesn't matter where the review comes from. It could be Germany, it could be fucking Sweden. I don't care. Why can't I see it attached to my iTunes?
We can send it to you, but we're gonna have to redact it first.
No, just redacting this. I hear there's 7 reviews, and I haven't seen one.
Okay, well, see this time the segue really is right on. We've had a couple close calls, but this is it. As long as we're talking about iTunes, and it's unfortunate that if you live in Canada or elsewhere and you leave an iTunes review, us people in the States don't get to see it. It's the weirdest thing. And I forgot about that, but it happened before on Banana Laser. It once had somebody told me that they left it and we couldn't, and, because I'm doing the same thing with this show that we did with that show, that anyone that writes us a review is going to be entered in the contests. So I'll say it again. Go to iTunes. Now, if you're in Canada or somewhere else, you're going to have to tell us about it. Well, at least Christian, because he's the only one that can see it. So, if by chance that should happen, let Christian know, or call us, or email us, whatever you got to do, and let us know you left it, because we can't see it. But
I got to try changing countries. I know we can do that on the iTunes store. You go into your account and you could change countries, but I've not tried that yet because, I mean, we only figured that out when we were talking right before the show that this is a problem.
yeah, because if people are out there doing it, they're not going to be entered. So we have to include them. It's only fair. If they're nice enough to write a review for us, they're going to be in on the contest. And I have stuff here that's been sitting here since before the show even began. So there's stuff we're giving away. We just want to get at least 10. And I know that Brandon has some things going.
Well, yeah, plus with the emails, I wanted to reward that gentleman who emailed us. I can't remember his name, but he never reached out to me. So if you're listening, reach out to me.
Shh. Hold on. Psst, 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 psst. He hasn't reached out because that show hasn't dropped yet. It was show 11 and it hasn't dropped yet.
Oh, edit.
Yeah, that's why.
I'm not editing shit.
Don't edit that.
I'm just
That's
kidding.
okay.
We ain't editing shit.
That's okay. That's not something you edit. We're fine.
I'm just joking about the edit.
It's coming. He will reach out to you. I know this guy. He's gonna reach out to you. He wants free shit. Trust me.
So he's a Jew, you're saying?
You said it. I don't know. I don't know. But listen,
That's all right.
we have 13 ratings. They're 5-star. Yeah. So we have 13 5-star ratings. That's good. And we have 7 people that have written, nice reviews for us. So it doesn't take much. You just get on there, you say a few sentences. So yeah, please go onto your iTunes and subscribe. Just go to that button, click it, subscribe. Nice and easy. It will automatically be downloaded every time to whatever device you're on. Get on it. That's all we're asking. It takes 2 minutes. Stop what you're doing. Go on your iTunes. Do it. That's all we ask. And then
Read me one of the reviews. I feel like I feel neglected up here.
I'm going to read you the latest one. Because
okay.
It's
I'm
funny.
jumping the gun.
It just came in. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just, I don't want to read just one and not the rest. So each week I'll read one until 7 weeks are gone and we don't have any more. And then we feel like losers. But hopefully by then we'll have more than 10. I don't know. But
7 weeks from now.
well, 14 weeks from now. This is our latest one, FX Guy 1969. It was left on April 26th.
69.
And it's here's what it says, because they have to have a headline, okay? Top notch. This is horror. So that's great, man. So thank you for that. That's great.
That's it?
That's awesome.
No, that's just the headline. That's
Oh, okay. I thought that was it.
No, that's not. Honestly, that can be. I think you could probably do that, and that's it. And you could be entered for prizes. I don't even know if you have to read.
Oh, no, that would be enough. That would count. But
yeah, I don't give a shit.
it
Yeah,
made it
absolutely.
sound like you're about to read, some literature.
No. Literature. No, I don't know if you have to put one syllable there, one letter, but as long as you have a head, maybe you can get away with just leaving a headline, and that's it.
It's
Or
a
a head-
headite line.
A headite leaving a headline.
A headline. Line. I'll make that work somehow.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. So I will read it. Here's the rest. It says, the guys share the same kind of passion for horror that I do, and their horror knowledge and chemistry with each other is what sets the show apart from the others out there. Whenever I finish an episode, I immediately count the days until the next one. Thank you for that.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Our chemistry is good. I mean, we're all sleeping together. It's going really well. There's no jealousy. We have like a big love situation going on.
Yeah. Polygamy.
Yeah, we all live in 3 houses that are attached to each other.
My wife doesn't mind.
Yeah, it's like the human centipede of houses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Brandon's always attached to my ass.
bleached assholes and all.
Yeah.
Which, okay, I may as well. Okay,
Yeah, there
here's
you
what I
go.
have to say.
Oh, wait, you didn't want to read that other review that said Dave Z and Brandon are awesome. Get rid of that Terrence and Phillip sounding motherfucker.
Oh, my ass!
Oh yeah, Terrence.
Oh shit! No,
Yeah.
we'll save that for next show.
That's the surprise review.
Okay, I'm gonna have to put Christian on the spot here, but he's gonna be happy about it 'cause I'm gonna have something nice to say at the end. So, I listened to your show. It's no secret. I listened to TGIF 13, and I listened to you only have so many, so I space them out. So I'll listen to one like maybe every 3 weeks or something. You know what I mean? I listen to a fair amount of podcasts, so I space them out. So right now, I'll look at my iTunes and see what show that actually was. But the last show I listened to, it was Freddy vs. Jason, and you did that one. So that show is episode, let's see, 18. It was show 18, okay, out of 23 that are out right now. So I'm slowly catching up. So now show 18, it was Freddy vs. Jason.
Yes.
And your wife sat in on that show.
Yeah. She was supposed to sit on the Nightmare on Elm Street show, but we had just sort of linked up with FridayThe13thFranchise.com.
But we didn't have a second sock.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to.
Damn you. That was good.
Oh, man,
It was
thank
good.
you.
It was good. Well worth interrupting me. I'm kidding.
Sorry.
I'm do it all the time. So what can I say? And hopefully this will be a long story short. And try to simplify it. We had just did a first episode where we linked up to them. We did the Friday the 13th Part 5, revisited, and it got our viewership or listenership jumped up substantially because that website did wonders for the podcast. So we figured, you know what? We're better off to follow it up with another Friday the 13th episode. So that's why we did Freddy versus Jason, and we asked my wife if she wanted to sit in on it, and she did. So that's the backstory. So what were you going to bring up? I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No, there's a couple of these. And kudos to you for getting on that. When I was a Banana Laser, I was in communication with that guy, and he said that he had just gotten a new show. And it must have been yours. I think he said he had another one too, but because we were so Friday-centric, and I was trying to get our show out there. I was talking to this guy via email, and I said, "Do you guys want a podcast? We were trying to branch out some more. So can we, link up with you guys somehow? Can we hook up?" And he said that he just had another one, and then he just started a new one. And I bet it was yours, which is how strange is that?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll mention his name if you don't mind, because I think he's a really cool guy. He's actually super cool. He's been on one of the other Friday the 13th podcasts, Return to Camp Blood podcast. But the guy that does the Friday the 13th franchise site, his name is Jason Lloyd. I just reached out and go, hey, do you want like a fan, kind of like an offshoot, a fan-based one?
It's not Jason Lloyd.
Jason Parker. Sorry. Okay. I'm going to edit that totally out.
No, don't you dare.
Sorry, not Jason Lloyd. Jason Parker. Jason Parker.
I thought
Too
you were
many
making a
Jasons.
joke. I was waiting for the punchline, and you kept going seriously. But Jason Lloyd said, "Fuck those banana laser guys," and put us. I thought you really were fucking talking about.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Fuck everybody on the Horophilia Network. I'm going with these guys.
Jason Parker. How many Jasons?
Jason Voorhees. We got Jason Parker. We got Jason Lloyd. Jason Parker is the guy from Friday13thfranchise.com. Great guy. Wealth of knowledge. But that's who I talked to. And he put us on. But I told him that we had just done all the Friday shows, and I would have loved to start interviewing people from but I'm not the guy. I need a producer or someone to get these people on board for me. I'll do the interview. I'll talk to them.
We had that. Oh man, but he's gone now.
Well, and you know what?
Michael J. got the interviews for Skeleton Crew. They interviewed a half a dozen people from the franchise. Like, oh man.
Well, I know. So Return to Camp Blood has done it now, and they sort of ran with it. And I would call them the official Friday the 13th podcast right now. But I will admit, if I ever get Amy Steele, that you got to join me with Vince, and I'll grab one of the guys from one or two of the guys from Camp Blood, because that's a show. I've always wanted to talk to her because she is the final girl.
Agreed. Oh,
but anyway, that's a side note.
Yeah, it's Friday talk. Everyone that's playing the Take the Drink game is getting fucked up already. All right. Yeah. Including me. So that's good. I play along too, by the way. So sometimes I'll just say Friday the 13th because I want to, take a drink. So, back to that show. Now, your wife joined in. Now, I got to tell you, after listening to that, I feel bad about, even though you made the joke about my daughter, and I flipped back and said that your wife bleached her asshole. Now I feel bad because I do. Because you should hear his wife. She sounds like she's 18 years old. And it's not an insult. She does, and she sounds innocent and cute and everything. And I was like, how could I ever, even though it's a joke, how could I ever hurl an insult at this poor girl? I don't give a fuck that it's your wife,
Oh no, she would have destroyed you if she heard it. So don't feel bad. She would have. No. She is funnier than I am. Like I don't want to admit that too often, but yeah.
Wait a minute. Wait. Yeah. You're funny?
Yeah. Damn, I set myself up for that. Yeah.
Fuck. Jesus, I'm checking my email. I didn't get that one. Here it is. Yeah.
It's coming from Canada. It takes a little time. Remember?
Yeah, it just came.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt bad because I'm listening to this nice girl, this nice woman, and I'm like, oh man, she's, So I felt bad about it just because it was her. Like if I ever met her face to face, I'm like, oh, what a nice woman. She seems like she'd never say. I don't know. Her personality she just seems like such a genuinely nice, sweet person. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have made that joke about her asshole. But
everything's A-okay.
All right. I don't give a fuck about you. I don't care if the fact that it's your wife doesn't mean shit to me. It's just the fact that it's this person. She could be single. It doesn't matter. I heard her voice. I was like, oh man, I feel like a eel.
Have you thought about changing the name of the podcast from TGIF to TGIO?
TGIO.
Yeah.
I'm totally lost.
No, I just think it would benefit that, if you change it to Thank God It's Over, more people would listen then.
I was thinking something else entirely different, and I won't say what it was again. It's just like last week. Oh my gosh. My mind just goes to the worst.
Thank God It's Oral?
I just forget it. I can't say it now. After what I just said, I can't make a joke about this lovely woman.
Oh,
So there you go. So now that's
flattered.
just the beginning of it. That's just the beginning of it.
okay.
I'm listening to your show, and your wife and your partner Vince. The joke, the ongoing joke on his show. If you guys aren't listening, especially if you're fans of Friday the 13th, you should be listening. But listen to this fucking show. But here it is. The ongoing joke is that Christian's gonna replace Vince. He busted balls all the fucking time, and I hope Vince listens. Because I'm coming to his defense. He busts his balls. He says one thing one factoid that may not have been right, even though Christian, he fucks up his facts too sometimes.
Oh, I do a lot. I do a lot.
Yeah, we all do. Whatever. Nobody's perfect, So he busts his balls and says this and that. So now on this show, on this actual show with him and his wife, he says something about, that's it, you're going to be off the show. And then someone's, I don't know how I came with that. I'll do it by myself or something. Yeah. So now, what do you think they say? See, this is the funny thing. They start saying that fucking, if you did do the show by yourself, the other person would be you doing your Dice Clay ripoff.
Yep.
So Clay, way back then, he was already a big part of your life.
Yeah. Oh, I'm telling you, man. I was a fan, and they always say that my comedy and it was a total ripoff of Dice, and maybe it is, and I don't know it, but I feel like I've just been talking like this all the time, and it's when you're throwing insult jokes out, it's very easy to say, oh, you're just like Andrew Dice Clay, but I don't know, they got me because that's what they compared me to, and I if you heard the show, then I'm like, oh.
Right, you did. Right. And that's the funny thing. We just so happened to bring up Clay on a whim because that guy had a box in his hand at the end of that fuck. Even though that movie was probably our lowest rated movie of 2016, it brought us together with Clay.
Yeah.
So, Kill List. Oh, no, not Kill List. Kill Game. What's
Kill
that?
Game, yeah. The one that made no sense. The title that made no sense.
Just remember to remind me after the show to pinch your tits.
Fucking Clay. So there you go. This was all meant to be. They called you Clay then. Clay came here, and we're together. And I wanted to give somebody props. I think it might have been you. Someone made a goof and said Friday the 13th, and
it was me.
Well, don't you think they should have called the movie that? Wouldn't that have been a great title for Freddy vs. Jason? Friday the 13th.
Yeah, well, hey, anything they just wanted, I think they wanted to have the two icon names. That's why Freddy's name went first. As I said it there, bigger box office draw. But that's arguable because the reboot of Nightmare, I think, was abysmal at the box office. Whereas Friday the 13th, even with the steep drop-off, reigned supreme. And so I think, there's definitely a lot more legs in Friday the 13th now. Put it this way, they're not making a Nightmare on Elm Street video game this year.
No, sir. No, they're not. No, Friday's the franchise. Everybody knows it. It was New Line. Because
Brandon
New Line that... I know. Brandon don't give a fuck about these movies. Sorry, buddy.
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry, we're not talking about fucking...
Replacing you. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Some obscure fucking Asian flick called, I don't know, Pig Intestine or something.
Pig Intestine.
I don't know.
It's a good movie.
Yeah,
that's his number one for the year.
Yeah, that's his favorite franchise, Pig Intestines, 1 through 4. It's from Japan.
We're talking about that series that part 7 was your favorite film of one year.
You
know that franchise?
I didn't say it was my favorite.
It was your favorite.
I know, but I love saying it was your favorite because you get angry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny.
I do like it though. I'll defend it.
Hey, someone defended you on, I think it was in the Exploding Heads Facebook page. It was on Twitter. That's what it was, on the Exploding Heads Twitter page.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with part 7.
No, well, we discussed it.
Yeah. Well, we could go in a whole show. We don't want to do that because we've already done shows. There's Banana Laser.
Kiwi
and there's
Laser.
TGIF Kiwi Laser and TGIF 13.
It's in that franchise, man. That's the bottom line. The bottom line is that we will talk about that movie because of that. Because it's their franchise, man. So we've talked about it enough. we can't stop. We just can't stop. You said Twitter, and that reminded me of something else. It's another unintentional segue. But I have to wait a second because I have to finish. There's one more thing I wanted to add. It was a question. There was one part of the show, on the TGIF show, where you said one of the girls looks better now than she did then in Freddy vs. Jason. Do you know who you were talking about? Because if it's... Do you know who you're talking about or no?
Oh, the main girl. The main girl that was on Entourage as well.
You're not talking about Monica Keena, are you?
Yeah. Well, you don't think
What?
so?
What the fuck? Where have you been? When was Entourage? What year?
I was talking about when she came back for the Crystal Lake Memories interviews.
Oh, she looked fucked up. She looked more fucked up on the Friday the third on the Nightmare on Elm Street one. She's fucked up, dude. Oh, dude. Oh my god. She got with Eddie Furlong. She got involved with drugs. She's all fucked up looking. She looks like she's like in her 50s.
Really?
That's what Christian likes.
Yeah, I like him old. I don't know what to tell you. Bleached and old.
This was an old show, and it was like over 2 years ago. Just Google it. Fucking, what's her name? Monica Keena looks unrecognizable. Just Google that, and you'll probably see that thing pulled up from the old horror bid. They've already covered this on the Skeleton Crew. That's how old this is.
I am Googling it, and I'm not seeing what you're seeing.
The article's gone. Monica Keena.
Oh, it's an article. I'm just looking at pictures. Sorry.
It's unrecognizable.
I like her in Undeclared.
Type in those words. Monica Keena looks, whatever the fuck her name is. Keena looks unrecognizable. Does anything come up for you?
Oh, hold on. How quick do you think I type over here? Oh, yeah, here's with Edward Furlong. He looks unrecognizable, too.
They're fucked. They're on fucking all kinds of drugs.
Oh, yeah. She looks crazy there, but that was like one... Oh, my God.
Dude, she's fucked. She looks terrible now. I can't. That's why I had to put you on the spot. I'm like, if he's talking about this girl, it's the opposite. And she was like, "Who won? I won." She was talking about that about the Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah. You don't think she looked great there? You're right. Nope. She does look horrible in the Nightmare on Elm Street one.
She's fucked up. Drugs, bad. They're basically the Bobby and Whitney of horror. That's who they are. Bobby and Whitney are Eddie Furlong and Monica Keena. Actually, they made a movie together called Aftermath, and I called it fucking Aftermeth.
I liked Aftermath, actually.
Well, that's when they met. Oh no, they met on the Night of the Demons. But I mean, if you look at them, it's the effects of Aftermath. If you think about it.
I don't get it. I'm joking.
Yeah, what is it mean?
Anyway,
that's who I was talking about. But I was honestly going about when she was raving about the fate of her character in the comic Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, and she was talking about it on the Crystal Lake Memories documentary.
Man, she looks like shit.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
I agree. I saw two pictures that I would agree with what you're saying, but in that documentary, she looked pretty sweet.
Okay, fair enough. I just wanted to put it out there. Look some more, and you'll see. Look at her in the movies now, even. Oh my gosh, what a shame. But maybe she got cleaned up here and there. Maybe you're catching her in and out of rehab.
Open your fucking eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jackass.
Remind me to pinch your tits after the show.
So you mentioned Twitter, and I'm glad you said that because our friend J-Law on Twitter, he's not involved in Facebook, and that's okay. But he's on Twitter, and he messages me, and I say, he was talking about show 10, and I wanted to read it. He says something about, so far I've listened through the 70s for you guys, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm on the mindset with Brandon. I'm picking these movies. All of my favorites are typically the same as everyone else's, and for good reason, they're superior made classic films. However, it gets a little repetitive hearing about the same movies over and over, so my list solely for this podcast would be highlighting the slightly more uncommon favorite films. In the 70s, Jaws, Omen, Suspiria, Halloween, Phantasm, etc. are all among my favorite movies, but I'm almost sick to death of talking or listening to discussions about them at this point. Also my own fault for listening to so many podcasts. I think, like Brandon, it's not about trying to be
Sorry
hipster.
About that.
It's not about trying to be hipster or too cool for mainstream, that it's more about bringing up some flicks that are almost never discussed. So, my list through the 70s for now at least. See, Brandon, you're going to know every one of these movies. Well, I do too. What? 75, Lamora, A Child's Tale of the Supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
76, What Do You Know? Burnt Offerings.
Nice.
77, The Sentinel.
Yep.
1978, Magic. And 1979, Tourist Trap. The second it hits 1980, it goes from a handful of favorites to around 10 to 12 every year for at least the first half of the decade. So then he messages me again and says, this is the last message for tonight. I couldn't help it because interesting subtopics keep coming up. See, that's what it is about our show. We may have mentioned popular movies, but we did go to other places, right?
Yeah, I brought us there.
Yeah, it was all you.
You guys are like, Jaws, Omen, Jaws, Carrie, Omen. I'm like, all right, I'm going to have to make this show. I'm going to have to bring us to some interesting places.
Good job, buddy. I'll give you props.
Hey, that's why you pay me the big bucks.
You're right off the rails with Friday 7. You're like, what can I pick that no one else in their right mind would choose for this year? Friday 7.
The new blood, the new Brandon.
It's nostalgia.
I hear you, man.
It is
just busted your chops.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. So now he talks about the movie release year subject, which we discussed on that show, and which, we do talk about sometimes. When we did the year-end show, we had to do it. But he says, movie release year subject, I think it's a lot more subjective than people think. Personally, I say it's whenever you saw the movie first, even if it's at a small film festival 6 to 8 months in advance. If I saw a movie at a film festival and it's seeing a wide release early the next year, I'm just going to say it's the earlier release.
Well, if that's the case, Fright Night just came out this year for Dave.
Yeah, my top 5 movie of 2015, Fright Night.
Roddy McDowell should win an Oscar in 2016 for Fright Night. No, I get what he's saying. Keep going. I'm sorry.
No, he says some more. He says, when people saw The Witch, I'm sure many saw it at the tail end of 15. They thought of it as a movie they saw from last year, not 16. And then they can be shown and shelved for years. And he just goes on to say that, in his opinion, it should be when you saw it. And I messaged him back, for the show's sake, I don't think we could do that. I think it's like what we've agreed on when we did the year-end show and when we discussed the top 40. It was when it's wide released to the States.
It makes the most sense because, honestly, like, House on Pine Street was on a lot of people's lists, a lot of critics' lists from last year, horror critics. And that's how I first heard of it and got interested in it. This is the year in which I saw it, and this is the year in which everyone's going to get to see it. So it makes sense that it's 2016 for us.
Yeah, it's wide release. I couldn't imagine talking about it on a show, a year-end show. Say, okay, my number, like Jason Lloyd does it on the site when he does Horrorphilia. And 2 years ago, his number one movie was It Follows. I guess if you're doing it in the written form, it's okay. But if you're doing a podcast, and you say, okay, my number one movie is It Follows, you don't want to talk about it because nobody's fucking seen it. What percentage of the podcast listening audience has seen it? I mean, really, less than 5%, I bet.
Yeah, come on, Jason.
That's why.
Parker
because we're in the entertainment.
Parker.
Parker.
Parker, Voorhees, Lloyd, whichever one you are.
Parker Lewis.
Parker Lewis.
He can't lose.
He can't.
That's what I'm saying. So, and I think J Law understands that. I think people that are listening will understand that you might personally count that, but for the sake of entertainment and doing the show, etc., I think we always have to go with wide releases.
Yeah.
So.
And even then, it's a hassle trying to convince Christian that the movie came out this year because he's like, "Oh no, I'm moving it 3 years later." Every film, no, that's not 82, that's 85.
You know why? Because I can do that.
Because I can do
that. You're the man.
I told you, Dawn of the Dead got lots of 79 on the web or on the website on Facebook.
You're right, and let me plug the Facebook page. If you're listening to this show now, if you're a fan of this show, if you listen, if you like us, if you're on Facebook, just go join the page. That's all you got to do. Type in Exploding Heads Horror Podcast and join. The bigger it gets, the better it gets.
That's why my wife is constantly disappointed.
I'm not saying nothing. I'm all done talking about your wife. If this was last week, I would have said something about something, but God bless her. But so yeah, get on there. It takes a second. If you're on Facebook, why not? There we are. Just go in there, you know. So we're always putting shit up. Right now, we've been doing votes and polls and shit like that. So we try to have fun. But okay, before we move on, there's a few more things before we get to our reviews. Brandon,
Yes.
do you have any information about? Can you update us on the? You know what I'm talking about.
On
on your
my-
list.
my list challenge.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know why I call it a list challenge, considering nobody gives a shit if I watch these 100 movies or not. Even my father said to me, he's like, "What kind of challenge is this? Who challenged you to do this?" I'm like, nobody challenged me to do this. I'm like, I just decided I want to watch these 100 movies. All right, so 2 weeks ago, since it was exactly 2 weeks ago when I talked about it on the last podcast, I was at 44 of the 100 films seen. And I'm rewatching all of them. So that was from 0 to 44.
Wow.
You know, and in the last 2 weeks, I've watched 18 more.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm now at 62.
Jesus.
And I'm getting to the point now where some of these films are getting hard to find. And I'm reaching out, obviously, to Dave and to some other people to try and help find a copy. Because some of them are only VHSs available. I've looked into them, $200-$300 VHSs. I'm not paying that.
No.
Yeah.
We'll find them.
So I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel, but I still have a good 5 or 6 more that I have access to right now before I really start to have to get creative and figure out where I'm going to find these other films.
So how many have you watched? You said 44?
44, 62 now.
62 total.
Yeah,
Okay.
44 last 2 weeks ago. I watched 18 more since our last recording.
Okay, since our last recording, do you have any you want to talk about?
Alien Space Avenger.
Alien what?
Alien Space Avenger.
Wow. Really?
About 4 alien terrorists who take over the bodies of 4 teens in the 30s, and then they basically lay dormant for 50 years and then come out looking for fuel to fuel their ship and go back to their planet.
So wait, they're teenagers in the 30s. So 50 years later they come out, so basically it's going to be the 80s.
Yeah, and they're still teenagers from the 30s.
What?
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's so funny.
They never aged because they had something inside them?
It's like
Yeah.
Encino Man.
Exactly. It's
Okay.
it's this prequel to Encino Man.
Holy shit. And it's actually good.
Yeah, I was surprised at how good it was for a film called Alien Space Avenger.
Yeah, I would have walked right by that.
Oh, it's super low budget and cheesy, but it's fun.
What's one of the
Nice.
ones on your really hard to find list, or do you have to keep it secretive?
No, one of the ones that's really hard to find is The Freeway Maniac.
Oh, that's the one about the guy that used to wasn't it loosely based on when all those shootings were happening in California?
I think so, yes.
Oh,
I think so,
Canada.
yes.
Canada's got the hookup. Christian owns this movie, don't you?
And Hack-O-Lantern is really hard to find.
Hack-O-Lantern. Are you fucking serious? I did a freaking banana laser, a video commentary. You can watch it right this second if you go to Horophilia. But of course, you got to listen to me.
Well, that's the thing.
And
A
Matt
lot of
Jamie
these
fussed on
films, a lot
Check
of
out-
films I can watch with commentaries. I found a bunch of them with commentaries. Because these are all obscure, trashy, cheesy films that you want to do commentaries for. And a lot of them, I'm like, fuck, why won't these idiots shut the fuck up? I'm like, Dave, is that you? Shut the fuck up.
Did you stumble onto mine?
I didn't stumble onto yours, but I
Oh,
was all excited. I found one, I put it on, then all of a sudden a bunch of idiots start talking over it.
I'll tell you what. It's so bad, it's good.
That's how
why
most of these films are.
That's why we did it for. I was hammered. It was the most drunk I've ever been on a podcast ever. It was right after we did. It was the Skeleton Crew's last show, or it was maybe going to be the last show. It was show 100, and I was on there guesting, and me and Matt and Alex and Jamie and Jason Lloyd was. It was the show 100. There was going to be a pause, or it was going to be the end, or whatever. So it was a big deal. We were there for hours. We were getting drunk. It was out of control. So after it ended, we were there, and it was October, and we were just like, we didn't want to stop talking. We wanted to do something else. So we said, hey, let's do a commentary. So we did it. Alex couldn't do it, but Jamie hopped down with Matt and I, and we just did this movie Hack O Lantern. And I'll tell you, I've never listened back to it. I've always wanted to, but I was like as drunk as you'll ever hear me. I mean, when I finished, I had spins. I was trying not to throw up. I walked my dog around the block for like 2 hours because I didn't want to puke, and I thought if I kept walking, I'd be okay. It was quite a night.
That Freeway Maniac, just confirming, what was it? Do you know the director's name or the year that it came out?
Freeway Maniac? It had to be, was it 90?
Okay, because the one that I was thinking of was actually, although it probably is based on the same thing. It came out in '88.
That's probably it.
And the director's Francis Delia.
Yeah, and it stars Lauren Winters.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Whoever
yeah,
that is.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the one?
That's the one.
Okay. I don't have it.
Well, fuck you.
But you know what? I don't have it, but I have it checked off on my old list that I used to have from Chaz Bolin, and he used to write for Gorzone and Fangoria.
Chaz Bono?
No, not Chaz Bono. And you son of a bitch. And so I did see this one. I remember renting it, and it was really good.
Really?
It was
Really?
It was above average. Like
okay.
For when you're like what you're doing when you're going through and searching for forgotten or just wanting to go through the video heap, and you look. Oh, sorry, I'm not even articulating this properly. You just go through shit after shit after shit. Then all of a sudden something's like, wow, this is actually well directed. You know, some good cinematography, and it stands out above the crowd. So I definitely remember that. You know what, though? I have it under the name Freeway, so maybe that might help you find it easier.
Yeah, I've also been looking into alternate titles because some of these films have multiple titles. I also watched the shortest film on my list, and I had to take a double take because I found it on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, this is probably just half the film or something because it was 58 minutes, but it turns out that was actually the length of the film.
Wow, what's that called?
Garden of the Dead. That's it. It was put out by Troma from the 70s.
I remember that from the video store. Never saw it, though. I almost could remember the cover of it, right? Like, just because that's what we did, right?
It's a chain gang who break loose, and they get killed, and they come back as zombies because they were inhaling formaldehyde fumes, and they come back as zombies to try to get more fumes. That's basically what it's about. It was actually quite entertaining. And at 58 minutes, on 1.5 speed, I was done with it in about 3 minutes.
1.5 speed.
The old Dave,
doing my
1.5
shit
speed.
No,
Nice.
I actually do the 1.25 speed on YouTube because I could still hear it, and it does cut the time, obviously, a little bit.
Oh yeah, I listen to podcasts that way sometimes if they're slow and boring and shit.
Yeah,
I
I listen to Christian that way.
Oh.
I have him on 1.5 speed right now.
He does TGIF 13 episodes in 20
What
minutes.
an asshole.
What? I'm just messing.
What a bleached asshole.
I'm just kidding. You know I'm making that up. I don't listen to you at all.
Yeah. And you know, maybe if you had fucking half a brain, you'd notice that the Freeway Maniac is on YouTube in full form right now.
I think Hack O Lantern is too.
Yeah, because I'm watching it right now. 1988, the full movie, right here.
Is that Canadian YouTube?
Yeah,
Is it
it's
YouTube.ca?
Canadian YouTube.
If that's on YouTube right now,
It's YouTube, eh?
Freeway Maniac, 1988.
that's not on here, YouTube.
It is.
It's got the Canadian version. Are you sure not on Canadian iTunes?
You know what? It was just published April 22nd, 2016.
Wow.
Funny enough. Maybe
Wow.
this guy knew you were doing your list.
That's Canadian YouTube, though. I'm serious, because there's no way it's...
I'm watching it right now.
Does that mean I really... Dave, are you serious? Is there Canadian YouTube?
No, there's
Of course I'm not serious. No.
Well, wait. Well, how come he can find it and I can't?
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is Canadian.
Oh, wait. Was it also known as Memorial Valley Massacre?
what?
Like Christian would know that.
Yeah.
Is he the fucking producer?
Exactly. The producer. I'm
That's
just
funny.
the editor.
Yeah, right. That's right. He edits, doesn't produce. That's right.
I don't see it.
This is not the one I thought it was, to be honest. But there's a whole movie here called Freeway Maniac, and it says 1988. But
Let me settle this fucking dispute. I'm gonna type it in on mine and see what happens. Freeway Maniac, 1989. Wait a minute.
there's also a trailer there for Freeway 1988. I found that immediately.
Yeah, there it is. It's an hour and 33 minutes and
Yeah.
08 seconds from Camp Nightmare. It was uploaded 2 weeks ago. Freeway Maniac.
What are you looking at here?
YouTube, buddy.
What did you type in?
Typed in Freeway Maniac,
Yeah.
and then 1989 was an option. You know how when you're typing, they give you the option to
Yeah,
complete it?
okay, so you typed in Freeway Maniac 1989.
And just so you know how I started this whole procedure, I took a totally different approach. I put Freeway, and then in brackets 1988. That was sarcasm, but that's what I did.
We're going to be on this thing for 2 hours.
Sorry, that's it.
Brendan's
Okay,
looking
let's
for
move
Freeway
on.
Maniac. Yeah, let's move on.
However, this does not look like the one I thought it was, but maybe it's the one you want. Oh, Brandon's gone.
Well,
Brandon, what happened? He's
What
cursing
the-
us. He dropped out again.
damn it.
He's trying to connect.
Maybe
you
because
again.
he went on a website. Last time he went on iTunes, that's when he got cut off. Remember?
Maybe that's it. Oh, are you back, Brandon?
I'm back, and
Okay.
I can't believe that movie is up there now.
See?
That's awesome.
See, man?
Thanks.
Nice. A
I knew we
crazed
kept-
serial killer sneaks onto the set of a sci-fi film and begins murdering the cast and crew.
I just watched it on 8.5 speed, so 63 down. It took me 3 seconds to.
You know, true enough, or just on a side note, check out the preview for Freeway from 1988 as well, because I think they're two different movies. But
Yeah, well, I've had to be careful because there's one film, Sinjanor, which has 2 movies called that. One from 1980 and one from 1990, and I want the one from 1990, which I found. And then there was another film called Mutant,
yeah, and that's
which is like 70 titles for that, and I wanted the one from 1984 with Wings Hauser from Tales from the Hood.
yeah, I saw that, man.
Hauser.
I watched all those ones because they're all in this book, and I wanted to make sure that was my checklist at the time before.
Yeah,
internet.
I'm going through this list. I don't know. I'm just having fun, and I'm thinking like when I get down to like the last 10 movies I watch, what I'm doing is I'll obviously write down the 10 movies, either 10 or 5, the last 10 or 5, and have a contest for it. Like let people guess what the last 5 are or the last 10 are, and the person who guesses the most right wins.
Cool.
Nice,
give away
nice.
and give away a couple films or something, or a free hand job, whichever you prefer.
Nice.
Listener's
Whatever.
choice.
Listener's choice.
Movies
Man.
or the old downhill racer.
And Hackle Lantern's on there too, buddy. Just so you know,
All right.
it's on. There's at least 2 or 3 there. But before you watch,
Canadian YouTube.
yeah, I got the Canadian. I got the access. I got access to all.
There are a lot of movies on there, but some of them are in French. I was starting one film the other day, and all of a sudden they started spewing out German, like these damn Nazis.
Sons of bitches. Well, just remember before you watch it, you're the devil's son, son, son. That's the best part. There's a song in that movie for no reason. There's a montage. It's fucking great.
In Hack-O-Lantern?
Yeah, you're the devil's son, son. Oh yeah, it's fucking badass. I'm gonna play it on the show when I can find that. That's awesome.
I love that
So-
VHS cover art for that one.
Oh yeah, that fucking cut off head, that orange.
Yeah,
box.
yeah.
That's great. Speaking of cover art, Wings Hauser. When you said Wings Hauser, I used to always see this VHS box when I was a kid at the store, and there was a movie called The Carpenter with Wings Hauser, and it said and he was on the cover with what a cheesy
A young wing Wings house.
a young Wings Hauser, a young Remy Zahn.
Oh man.
Oh fuck. Okay, Christian. I don't think you're gonna have an answer because you just said the circus is busy and it's a busy time of year for you. and
Yeah.
traveling. Have you seen any found footage from the list challenge?
No, I just saw that Afflicted was on Netflix, but I chose to watch The Voices because it was recommended.
Cause
So-
fuck you, Dave.
No,
Yeah, because fuck your
I'm
recommendation.
sorry. I'm sorry. It was going to be my second choice. It was going to be my second one because I also took a bunch with me on my trip on my iPad, and we never had time. which meant that we were drunk, we drank, and then when you went back to your room, you just fell asleep.
Yeah. Hey,
So
right.
I will end up watching 2 before the next show, at the very least.
Well, that'd be cool. If you have time, whatever. I don't care if you watch fucking, one every 2 months, just so you'll watch those movies and get back and admit that found footage defeated you. Because it's Christian versus found footage. That's the
Yeah, at the end of all this, you have to say, "I am found footage's bitch."
And thank you, Dave, for
Yeah.
for introducing me to found footage.
All right.
So yeah, one more thing. Well, not one more thing. A couple more orders of business. We'll make it quick. Yes, as far as the voting, remember how I said earlier that New York Ripper will be covered. It will be covered because I'm going to give a quick list of shows that we have planned. And most of these shows are going to be the big ones, the 5, 10, 15, 20. When we do 3 movies and it's not a 2 or a 1, where it's a big show. So this is what we have planned. We're going to do a Robert Englund show. And this is no order. This is just stuff that we came up with and, it's discussed. We're going to do a Robert Englund show. It's going to be 3 Robert Englund movies that aren't
Freddie.
obviously no franchise. No, not for that.
Yeah, Freddy 2.
We're going to do one about mall horror. 3
Yes.
movies that take place in a mall, horror movies.
Phantom of the Mall.
Yes, Phantom of the Mall. That's probably one of them. We're going to do that Savini show we've talked about a few times.
Never heard of him. Next.
Maniac. We already know what that is. Maniac, The Prowler, and The Burning. We're going to do that special. We're going to do a show about clown movies. We're going to do a found footage show. That's for damn sure. And on that show, well, we'll see. Yeah, it's going to be all movies that Christian hasn't seen. That's how I'm going to make him watch these challenge movies. The found footage show. We're going to do a mockumentary show. That's how we're going to see Behind the Mask, because that's basically like a mockumentary, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So because that finished right there. It was like Behind the Mask and Hush were the 2 that were below Fulci's, the New York Ripper. So
Yeah.
we're going to do a train show about horror that takes place on a train.
Yeah.
And we're going to do a French Extreme show, which we know, Christian's going crazy. Yeah, buddy.
I love it.
Yeah, see, I know you do. So we're going to do Scarecrows, a Scarecrow show, 3 Scarecrow movies. We're going to do anthology shows.
Wizard of Oz. Nice.
How about a little fire, Scarecrow? Nice. We're going to do this is for Brandon. We're going to do a show on Section 3.
Yes.
The Section 3 list. Yeah, which is not the video nasties, but the other ones.
The other 82 films.
Yeah, the other 82 films. So we're going to do that. We're going to do the Fulci show. Like I said, so New York Ripper will be on that show along with a few others that aren't part of the city. What the hell
Gates
is
of
it?
Hell.
Gates of Hell, thank you. Gates of Hell trilogy.
The City of Hell. The City of the Gates.
City of the Gates, yeah. We're going to do a remake show. Some remakes. We're going to pick 3 remakes and do them. And then we're going to do trilogies of movies. We're going to do the Amityville trilogy. See, we're doing our own shit. We're not going to do those shitty fucking... We don't have time for that. We only have time for 3 movies on this show. So we're just going to do 3. We're just going to stop at 3 because let's face it, most series go to shit after 3. Granted, sometimes we might go 4.
Final chapter.
But we might go 4. Right?
Yeah, New Blood.
Yeah, Friday show. All right. Yeah. So we're going to do the Amityville trilogy. We're going to do the Omen trilogy. Just 1 through 3. We're not going to do that piece of shit Awakening Part 4. That's not Damien's story. We're not doing it. We're just not. We're going to do the Reanimator trilogy. Poltergeist. That we're going to do. Poltergeist trilogy. Now, Sleepaway Camp will probably do all 4, but maybe not. Maybe we won't do Return.
Maybe we'll only do 1, 3, and 4. Maybe we'll do 3, 4, and one that hasn't come out yet.
Yeah. Sure, we'll do that. We're going to do Psycho. Maybe we'll do 1 through 4. Maybe for that one we'll do 4. Return of the Living Dead, we're going to do the trilogy. That's fucking it. We're not going to do those piece of shits 4 and 5. We're just not going to do it. So.
Jaws?
Yeah, well, if we did Jaws, it'd be 1, 2, and 3. I guess. I don't even know if I want to see 3. But maybe. Let's do Jaws 3. I don't care. Whatever we do. We're going to do the Maniac Cop because I've never seen any of them. So,
What?
Never seen them. Never wanted to, but we'll get to that sometime. Yeah, they did something look cheesy and comedy, and yeah. So everyone always says that. What? I know.
Well, because it really is a Friday the 13th ripoff.
Well, I got to see it now.
In a sense, like the second and third one more so. But the first, it had Bruce Campbell in it. It was the director of Maniac. A little bit more action oriented, so maybe that's why you weren't so interested.
I just thought it was comedy. I just thought that the idea of a maniac cop, a cop running around killing people, it just, when I was young, I just saw it. And I remember seeing it on the cover of one of the Fangorias, or maybe it was an article, and I saw makeup of the guy, and on the inside, it looked like a pig. I don't know, something just turned me off to it. I just thought it was going to be like Basket Case 2 or something. It just, I don't know.
What?
Guarantee when it's over, you'll say, "Now this is hard."
Ooh, I hope so. I hope I do. So we're gonna do the Three Mothers trilogy because we have to. That's our general. We got to do that shit. So come on, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do Child's Play. Which three? I don't know. I don't know.
1, 2, and 6.
That's honestly, that's what if given the choice, that's what I would want to do. 1, 2, and Curse. No question, I would. But that's what Slumber Party Massacre 1 through 3. Because fuck, isn't there 3 of them?
Yeah.
I think.
Okay, well, if we run out of ideas, we'll do that. Puppet Master 1 through 3. That's it, because I hear most of the other ones suck. I stopped at 3 myself. And the It's Alive trilogy. We'll do that. I had never seen 2 or 3, but I've heard they're kind of cheesy fun. So that's what we got. That's just some shit we have that we've talked about. If you guys have more off the top of your head that I didn't mention, rock and roll. I'm just saying. So there's a lot of things that we are going to cover, and there you go.
Based on everything we just listed right there.
Well,
yeah. So listen for that Amityville show dropping in 2023.
Yes, we're gonna do the Witch trilogy. 1, 2, and 3 in 2025.
Clickety clackety.
Clickety clackety. Yes, we're doing that shit. So yeah, now everybody knows what we have planned. Whenever it is, we have a list. We're good. So that's what we have. So we just don't know when, but we have a list here, and that's what we're gonna do. So there you go. Now before we get to our reviews, I have one more thing here. I started. My daughter's 10 now, and I thought there was a few movies I would show her. And this week, I showed her Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm like, there's no sexy stuff in there. There's very little cursing, right?
Depends what you're into.
This is true. Yeah, there's some fetish stuff, I suppose. Right. But there's no sex. There's no TNA. There's very little cursing. There really isn't much violence. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to let her see this. I'm going to let her watch Halloween Uncut. I'm just going to kind of skip the sex parts. You know what I'm saying? So I've decided to do that. She's 10 now. I think there's more stuff she should see. So I showed her Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then as soon as we finished, I wanted to get her, her reaction right when it ended. So that's what I did. Maybe it's a new segment, maybe it's not. We'll see how it goes. But this is
Daughter Horror Reviews?
It's the 10-year-old horror fan. That's awesome. What I called it. And let's see here. We're sitting here with Frankie Z, and we're going to talk about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is the 10-year-old horror fan. Frankie Z, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, let's get a little background here. First of all, how many horror movies have you seen in your lifetime?
Well, I'd say about 8 or 9 or 7. I have seen a lot.
Okay, now, so far, not including this one, because we're going to get your thoughts afterwards, but so far, what is your favorite horror movie?
I have to say The Shining.
The Shining, okay. Yeah. Great. And what are some of the other horror movies you've seen so far?
I've seen almost the whole Friday the 13th series except Jason X. I just finished Jason Goes to Hell. And, well, I've also just seen, some movies apart, like The Shining or other movies I watched that were, apart. that were like not series. They're just like one movie.
Right, just standalone movies, they call them.
Yeah.
Okay. We've also been to the movies. We've seen The Boy, we've seen The Visit, and we've seen Krampus all at the show, right?
Yes, we have.
Okay, now, let's get to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Tell us your thoughts. We just finished. The credits just rolled about 2 minutes ago. So we're fresh off her first view of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So, tell us what your thoughts are of this movie.
Well, I actually think that it is really, really scary when I just like watched it like during the end, and I think it's like one of the best movies I saw so far.
Okay, tell me, what are some of the best parts of the movie, and what makes you like this movie so much?
What makes me like this movie so much is like that it kind of reminds me. Well, I just love killer movies, like to see like how it ends and what's going on, and I think it's like really cool how it wouldn't be like some bad horror movies. It's actually really good. Like tells the whole story out really well.
And what are some of your favorite scenes in this movie?
One of my favorite scenes were when the hitchhiker was like in the van and causing some crazy things, like taking a fire. I forgot what it's called, but he put something on it, lit it on fire, and I thought it was like pretty cool because like actually like it looks really creepy. And if it wasn't, he would like just burn the whole van down, but it didn't show that in the movie. It like made the details even better.
And who was your favorite character in the whole movie, if you can remember the names?
My favorite character is Leatherface.
Leatherface? Okay. So now you've seen Leatherface, you've seen Jason, you've seen a few. Freddy you saw a little bit. Who's your favorite horror character so far?
I actually have it tied. Is that okay?
Of course it's okay. It's your opinion.
My two favorites are Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees.
Okay. Even though, what have you seen with Freddy Krueger in it so far?
Well, I seen the ending. I seen Freddy versus Jason. I seen a little bit of clips on YouTube of when he kills people in his dreams, like Nightmare on Elm Street. And I also seen him at the end of Jason Goes to Hell when they're both in hell and Freddy puts out his hands and takes Jason's mask off.
Okay. I guess that could count, seeing the glove. Okay, so, anything else you want to say about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre before you give a grade?
Well, I want to say that I think it would be like a really good movie for all of you horror fans who haven't seen it yet. And trust me, you are gonna love the movie.
Okay, and finally, let's give a rating from 1 to 10. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What would you rate the 1974 classic, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
I would rate it a 10.
A 10?
Whoa.
All right, 10 out of 10 from Frankie Z, the 10-year-old horror fan. Thank you. Do you have any last words, Frankie Z?
Well, have a good night's sleep, everybody.
All right, that's it. Thank you, everyone. This is Dave Z and Frankie Z. We'll see you again soon. Thanks.
Bye.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
She was a little nervous. You could tell by the way she's talking because she usually articulates herself a little bit better, but she was kind of like stumbling a little bit. But towards the end, she got better. But I think with each one, she was definitely nervous about it. But
Oh, it was great.
Yeah,
And it sounded great, too.
Yeah, it sounded great. I think she knew she had to give the film a 10. She knew she would have been ripped apart if she had.
no, I'll tell you what. Honestly, when we watch these movies, I tell her nothing going into it. Like I said,
No,
we're
I
going to
know.
watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't tell her what kind of movie it is exactly. If it's this, I mean, but that title, it's kind of obvious. But but I mean, when I sit her down, I want her, fresh as a daisy. Sit down, watch it. I want to get her thoughts after. I don't push her in any way to like it or to not like it. Anything. Even the Friday the 13th, we sit down, we've watched them. And it's funny because when we watched Jason Goes to Hell a couple weeks ago, every 5-10 minutes she was asking me, why did this happen? Why? And I'm thinking, yeah, smart girl. That's what I asked every time I watched their fucking movie. But,
Is that how you answered her? Hey,
Right?
that's what I asked every time I watched this fucking movie.
And none of these films scare her. She sleeps fine right after finishing these films.
That shit doesn't scare her at all. And
awesome.
Seriously, she is afraid of certain things. Like I said, when we watched the Poltergeist remake, someone opens the closet door and there was something in there, and she didn't like that. And like when it came time for bed, she was kind of nervous about going to bed.
Yeah.
But like weird things. But like most of the time,
Leatherface just running around with his chainsaw for an
I
hour
was
and a
scared
half.
shitless as a kid, man.
Yeah.
If I watched that, I wouldn't have slept for a week, and that was probably up until close to 13. That's when, like I said, I had caught a few things earlier. I caught a few things, but that's what the intrigue, right? Now
Yeah.
these kids are not scared of anything, because I remember, like I said, catching Friday the 13th on TV. I'm not going to get the whole story and whatnot, and being petrified of it and turning it off right after Kevin Bacon got it done. And then you'd catch little segments of here and Halloween, and then Nightmare on Elm Street when you're at someone's house and they rented it, and I saw the opening scene, and I was like, shit, man, those were my introductions. But I was scared shitless. You put on a tough guy face and aura, but I remember going, I'm not going to sleep tonight. There's no way.
right? I was scared. Like I said, the first time I saw Friday 3 when I woke up and saw the end.
Oh,
Yeah, it is scary. It was, but she, like I said, she does get scared of certain things, but I don't know. Like when I watched Friday 1 and 2 with her, I really couldn't wait for her to see those movies because they're my favorites. But I wanted to see the reaction. I wanted to see what she was going to do when Jason jumped out of the water in the canoe at the end.
Oh,
she didn't even
God.
blink. Didn't even blink.
Blink.
Nothing.
I crapped myself.
Right?
I said I wanted to watch a horror movie.
Right? Nothing. I couldn't believe it. And when we watched part 2, there's like 6 or 7 really solid jump scares in that movie. Towards the last half hour, lots of shit goes on. She didn't do one time. The one scene when Ginny is pulling the door closed in the room, and then his hand comes through the window. I know you're familiar with the Christian.
Mm-hmm.
That when that hand came through, she went, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
That was it. That was the only expression she ever gave at any of the fucking jump scares in any of those movies.
Even when Jason popped through the window. Like the pop through the window.
Pop at the end with fucking Muffin?
Yeah.
No.
To look
nothing.
my muffin ending? No? Okay.
No, just fucking loved them. Don't get me wrong. She enjoyed every one of those movies. Well, maybe not 9 so much, but she enjoyed them all. She just never jumped. None of that shit. You know what she said when she was watching Chainsaw? Same thing I say. Oh, no, not the eyes. I hate the close-up scenes of the eyes.
Oh, yeah.
I hate the veins. I don't like seeing veins in people's eyes. That grosses me out. And she meant, and I didn't know this about her, but she started saying that when she was watching it. She goes, "Oh, do they have to show the eyes?" She said. That's all she said. So she got the same thing I did. She doesn't like seeing the eyes.
Tell her to watch Clockwork Orange next.
Yeah. That'll be a couple of years. I don't think even... Is there an edited version of Clockwork Orange anywhere? I don't even know.
No.
And she hasn't seen any of the Halloweens yet. I have 1, 2, and 3. They're sitting right here. I taped them during Halloween season off regular TV so she could watch them. So
Make her watch part 3 wearing one of those masks. Get her one of the masks, and then be like, "Honey, you gotta get that off. You gotta get that off."
Stop it! Stop it! And then...
I will. I'll get a silver shamrock pumpkin mask. I'll put it on her.
throw a few snakes in the house. It'll be a fun night for everybody.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Couple of lasers.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Some bananas. Right. Some kiwis.
Some kiwi lasers.
Yes. So yeah, we'll keep up. We'll do a little more of that. I'll show her some more stuff. We'll put it on the show. We'll see if the listeners like it. But we had fun. And again, I don't tell her anything. Like my favorite horror movie is The Shining. She doesn't say that because I tell her to. You know what I'm saying? I do not. I try not to influence her at all because Who wants to do that? You want to see people's real reactions. Sit down and watch this movie. What do you think? You know? So she just happened.
Although I thought I heard you say, "Read the damn cue card, sweetie."
Yeah, you hear me whispering in the back. 10.
Yeah, like Black Phillip.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. We better get on with these reviews, huh? Before we get to the movies, I know it's a hell of a long intro. That it is. We never plan on it, but here we are. I put a thing on the like I pimped out before. If you're not on the group page, get on it because we do things like this. So I said we're discussing haunted house movies tonight. What are your top 3? And we got some results. So I'll start. We'll fly through them quick, and maybe by the end we can give our 3, if we can do that. It's not so easy to do, but these guys did it. So we'll start with the Ram Man, Amityville Horror 2, love it, 1408, and The Conjuring. And a special nod to the Poltergeist. He did write the Poltergeist. I read it right. Okay, a special nod to Poltergeist. Craig Missy, The Changing. That's it. He only has 1. Did I say Changing?
You did.
The Changing Room.
Yeah, the changing.
When Christian's in it, it's a real horror movie.
It is. Micro penis.
The dreaded micro penis.
Fucking Changing. What the fuck? Pardon me. The Changeling. Excuse me. Okay. Cosmic Creepers here. House on Haunted Hill. The Innocents. And does Beetlejuice count?
Fucking The Innocents. Oh, great pick.
I gotta
Great pick.
I gotta watch The Innocents. I have not seen it.
That's when, if you remember the first show we did, I'm pretty. If I didn't tell the story, I'm pretty sure I did though. That's the one that my parents put on, my dad put on, and it scared me as a fucking kid. It scared me shitless as a kid.
I remember you saying
Great,
that.
great
Okay,
movie.
I'm totally gonna watch it. It's going on my list. It's from '61, right, or something like that.
Yeah,
60.
yeah.
Okay.
61 or 63. I think it's 61. I think you're right.
Okay, so at least I do that somehow.
I think you're right.
61.
There you go. Somehow I knew that. I think I read something earlier. I think on IMDb, something about somebody compared Burnt Offerings to The Innocents. Maybe that's where I had that in mind. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't know. So anyway, our good friend Bill Casanelli. My number 1 is The Evil. The scene where the guy saws through his own hand was great, and Victor Bueno at the end was very memorable. I've never seen The Evil. Have you guys?
Young Victor Bueno. What an asshole.
I can't. You know what? I'm picturing that video box too. I think it's from 1980, 80, 81.
I don't know. I don't know it. He has 3 movies and I haven't seen any of them. So his number 2, House Where Evil Dwells. It's about an American couple who moved to Japan in a haunted house. Lots of nudity and gore. Wow.
Yeah, The Evil was 78.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. How about The House? The House Where Evil Dwells is number 2.
Oh.
Anybody?
Come on, Brandon. Jesus.
No, I'm just asking if anybody knows of it.
Sorry. Oh, I know of it. I've never seen it either. That's 82.
Okay. And there's number 3, Knocking on Death's Door. A very creepy movie from '99. Prince that no one ever talks about. R.I.P.
Prince was in it?
No, he wasn't.
Well, I thought you just said with Prince, R.I.P.
1999.
Oh.
See, that's how the whole thing got started. That's why I said that.
There we go.
Yeah, Graffiti Bridge. Come on.
Oh, this actually looks pretty good. Oh, it's got David Carradine in it. I love the autoerotic asphyxiation scene.
Oh, it took me a second.
Ba-da-boo.
Oh.
Is that The House Where Evil Dwells or Knocking on Death's Door?
That's Knocking on Death's Door. That's what happens when you play games and you don't have a spotter.
That's prophetic. Ooh.
You need to have a spotter. I always make my father my spotter.
Holy fuck.
Right
All right.
before
On to the next one. We gotta get through these. Mike Merriman says The Changeling. And I really like a made-from-TV movie called The Haunted from 1991. And he's kind enough to put the YouTube link there.
a made for TV or made from TV?
Made for TV.
Okay.
What the fuck is made from TV?
I thought they grounded up TVs and just created this movie.
Yeah, crumbs. Yeah, burnt offerings. He said the Warrens show up in that movie. The Haunted. Wow.
Who shows up?
The Warrens, like Elaine and Ed, or Lorraine.
Oh yeah, okay.
The Warrens, the Changeling crew. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah.
That's okay. Rob Doyle says, sorry, mine are all mainstream. The Shining, The Changeling, and The Legend of Hell House. And I have a confession again. I have not seen Legend of Hell House. I don't know why I haven't seen it. Probably because it's old, right?
73. I don't think I've seen it either.
There you go. I've only recently started watching movies from the 60s and in the early 70s. Like shit like that, so.
Snob.
I'm getting there. Well, I was slashered out in the 80s, and then I was into Supernatural. I don't know what it is. Older movies just seem boring to me. Not now.
If it doesn't have a Blu-ray release, I'm not watching it.
I am kind of a
Bluetooth.
A Bluetooth release. Yeah.
Bluetooth. I said Bluetooth. I don't.
Oh. That's the Canadian YouTube. Bluetooth. For Labatt's Blue. Nice.
No, because what was happening is anyone who wouldn't buy
I can laugh a
DVDs,
minute.
we started calling them Bluetubers.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
That's what it was, Bluetubers.
I remember that. Those guys.
Yeah.
Yep. Bluetubers.
You're a
So yeah,
Bluetuber.
honestly, I didn't watch old movies because I thought they were too slow moving, too dialogue heavy. It's like with the Hammer movies, never watched them. Nowadays, I love a snow. I love a slow burn, so I will watch this.
And if it takes place in the winter, then it's a good snow burn.
All right. Oh, we got our man X, Jeffrey X. Martin from Kiss the Goat. His 3.
What?
You never listen to Kiss the Goat? Oh, you got to. Listen to it. It's a good podcast, man. They do devil movies. Good shit. Poltergeist, Hausu, Hausu, and 13 Ghosts, the original. I hope the original. Shit. What about that Hausu? Anybody know that one?
Is that Hasu Huff?
Hasu Huff. I don't know, but X got us again. Man. All right. Martin Henderson, Haunting of Hell House.
Oh, Hasu is House from 77. That crazy.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. I had that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, way to be pretentious, goat boy. Sorry.
I hope X is listening. That's great.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I saw that movie. That movie's batshit crazy.
Yeah, well, if it's coming from you, of course he knows you're not making fun of someone for being pretentious. Come on.
No, I'm joking. But yeah, Hasu.
And okay, Martin Henderson, Haunting of Hell House. Oh wait, someone corrected him. Said Did you mean perhaps the Haunting of Hill House? Okay, so Haunting of Hill House, the original movie House, the original House on Haunted Hill, and another guy wants to throw in a fourth pick, but it's Beetlejuice. So, okay, all right. Mike Stewart, Amityville Horror, Poltergeist, The Grudge. Pretty simple. And finally, Matt Wazell. Wow, all right. He finally weighed in here. Devil's Backbone and The Orphanage are a couple ones I like.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love Spanish haunted houses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you guys have a top 3 haunted houses?
No.
Hausu por deux, and Hausu por tres.
Trois.
Trois,
Fucking-
tres.
Trey.
Mine are easy, man. Anyone that has listened to me talk, it's fucking common sense, really. I mean, it's... I guess
1, 2, and 3.
3 would be Ju-on. Ju-on. 2 would be Poltergeist, and 1 would be The Shining. Shit, come on.
Yeah, but Shining's a haunted hotel.
Yeah, well, okay. So if it's not The Shining, okay, Amityville 2, I'll throw that in there. If I can bump The Shining, Amityville 2 will be my number 3. Here we go again.
All right, I'll just go with 3. Actually, I'll go with 4.
Of course.
The Orphanage, The Changeling, House from 1986, not the 77 version,
Right.
and number 1, The Shining. I had to do it.
Yeah, you did. And Christian, you got nothing?
No, I like too many of them. I don't think I've ever specified what haunted house movie I like the best, but I do love Poltergeist. And I do love The Shining, but again, are we calling it a haunted hotel or what are we doing?
Right, that's true. It's hard to say. We're not tight ass here. Say what you want. We'll stick with Shining too. What the fuck?
Yeah,
You
like
know?
The Conjuring as well. So
Yeah, and is Poltergeist even haunted? Technically, not. It's a poltergeist. It's not a haunting. See? So we could sit here and pick apart half this shit all night. Even the movies we're about to cover. Are they haunted houses? We're about to find out.
and then The Innocents, I love that movie too. So
I gotta watch it.
Is Beetlegeist really the bioexorcist?
Say it 3 times.
I'll eat anything you want me to eat. I'll kill anything you want me to kill. So come on down now. Chew on a dog.
No.
Chew on a...
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for the
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay. Thank you for listening to that 3.5-hour intro.
yeah. Let's get into our 20-minute reviews.
And that's Burnt Offerings. Ratings?
Pretty much could go into that. I'm just kind of joking.
Yeah, let's go. Burn offerings. Who wants to
All right. I'll give a little synopsis about it. I actually don't like IMDb's. I feel like it just kind of gives everything away, even though it's not really much of a secret. But Burnt Offerings is from 1976, directed by Dan Curtis, and the story follows Ben and Marion Rolfe and their son David, who rent a very cheap Victorian summer house, and over time they begin to sense that there's something peculiar about the place. Marion becomes strangely obsessed with keeping the house. Ben finds himself prone to unusual bursts of anger, and his aunt, Elizabeth, played by Betty Davis, becomes withdrawn and then mysteriously blank. I don't know why that's in there. That's not really a spoiler. It says becomes withdrawn, then mysteriously dies.
Oh.
But
Whatever.
okay,
This
so
movie's from 1976. We don't have to worry about it too much. Maybe we can do a thing at the end where we throw a few ideas around in case they haven't seen it, they don't want to listen to that. But yeah, somebody say something. I don't know.
right off the bat, I mean, what a cast! First of all,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just a great cast. I mean, these are Oscar-nominated, Oscar-winning actors and actresses. These are some of the best actors of their time. So I think both films tonight benefit hugely from terrific acting.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Whether you like the films or not, and I'm not saying either way on either one, certainly not yet, but the acting in both I thought was pretty solid, and this one was terrific.
Yeah, particularly this one, definitely.
Oh yeah, I mean definitely more so this one, but I we'll get to the other one later, but this one, I mean, come on.
It was very weird, and maybe it's part of the arc of Karen Black's character, how they're pulling up to the house at the beginning. I don't know what they're expecting, but I guess there was no Zillow, or what's that app? What's the
yeah, Zillow's one of them.
Yeah, or whatever, that like you could just check what the house is going to look like. I don't know what they're expecting, but what description would have maybe thrown them off from it being this large house that they actually drove up to? But she comes up and drives up and almost disdainfully is like, what a waste. But then she loves the house. Like, right out of the gate, I thought there was like, why is she, what a waste? But I guess she just meant, what a waste that the house is, I guess, fallen into a decrepit state because it's so beautiful and big. I guess that's what it was about, because she absolutely loves it. One thing I find that it's a slow burn, and we use that term slow burn a lot when we talk about ghost stories. However, this could have definitely benefited from a good 20 minutes cut out. I know you could easily say that about a lot of movies, but I thought
this one had a very slow pace.
Yeah, and them going to the house only to leave, make the decision at home to then come back to the house. I thought they could easily have just streamlined that all at once. I mean, again, we will get into it because then I guess you couldn't have had the characters mysteriously not be there when they came back and whatnot.
Right. That's why. That's the only reason why.
You think that's the only reason why?
Well, yeah, just for the plot. Just for definitely. Why not? Because she was all about it. Didn't they come back to move in? I think they made their decision on the spot. Am I wrong here?
No, they went back.
They thought about it.
Yeah.
They pretty much made
gung ho.
Yeah, they were laying in bed at their house, and then they made the decision. Then they drove back, and then the next scene was them driving back to stay.
nowadays that would have started with them going there to stay. We would have cut out that whole opening, which was a good, I think, probably 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, but you have to have that to learn. You had to see Burgess Meredith. What are their names? You had to see those characters.
Arnold and Roz.
Yeah, okay. They had to give explanations about the house and what's going on and why they're leaving. So who would, if it was nowadays and that was to happen, I don't think they'd be pulling up to the place and then have that conversation with somebody. That has to be, it's part of the sell, you know? Wouldn't you say? How could they do that if they didn't do it that way?
They could have done it, explained, we really are grateful for you taking over. We're doing this, that, and the other thing, and they walk away with a couple of pebbles in their pockets and they go drown themselves.
Yeah, and then, oh, by the way, we're leaving our this lady upstairs.
Yeah, Brahms is upstairs. They really have to have the scene with the Allardyces. Otherwise, the interpretation of the movie in the end is
that too, I
guess, unexplainable.
Right, and don't get me wrong. I'm not disagreeing with you, Christian. I'm not saying it can't be trimmed. I was just saying that that sequence in particular. I'm not sure exactly. I guess maybe the three of us could sit down for 5 minutes and come up with it. I suppose a way to combine the two scenes.
They could have come. The boy ran outside. He still gets hurt. The crazy old guy notices him getting hurt and whatnot as they're kind of leaving to go out. And I still think things could have been explained that way. Because them coming to a note, it's not any crazier than them just leaving, and we see them leave, and the family taking over the house for the summer with the aunt and everything. I honestly think they could have.
No, I agree with you. I think it could have been. I mean, I think throughout the whole movie, there are just some areas that just you could have probably tightened it up, 10 seconds here, 10 seconds there, and got it down 15, 20 minutes. Just some of the conversations and the dialogue was drawn on. But in terms of the editing at the beginning, they could have even done, where Ben realizes Marion wants the house, and he could have just said, "We'll take it," and then they could have done it like a fade to black, and then the next scene could have been the car just driving back up. Yeah, like 2 weeks later. I wouldn't have even minded if it said like 2 weeks later. If it came up and said July 1st, because he said you'll have the house July 1st.
Yeah, true.
But
you had to have that conversation. You had to have Burgess Meredith and the lady. I forget the actress's name. I just don't remember.
What for Eileen?
The sister, brother and sister, as they call each other, like they're fucking. I don't know, fucking something from Davy and Goliath. I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, I love slow burns, but I was even saying to myself as I'm making it through this, I'm like, it's not that it was boring. It wasn't boring to me. I'm just like, all right, it could just be tighter.
Because there's some amazingly effective scare scenes on this, and I remember seeing this as a kid, again checking it on TV, because they usually play these ones, because other than for a couple of shock effects near the end, there's not much in the way of blood, but it's just that sense of dread again, and that music, and just you're on edge for a couple of scenes, and they're great scenes, but then there's a lot of time in between them.
Mm-hmm.
There is tension throughout, though. I mean, we don't know what's happening. It's like I said at the beginning of the show, with both of these movies. They're ghost stories. They're haunted houses, so to speak, but they're very unconventional, and there's room for interpretation. It's not like The Changeling, where, there's a presence there, and you find out who, and it's a ghost, somebody's passed away, and that's your typical ghost story stuff. This isn't like that. This is the second view, Dave. This straight up. This is granted. This is the third time I've seen it, but they've been spread apart, and all I remembered was that I enjoyed it. But I was never able to sit down and talk about the plot. I never could. Now I think I can, and I'll probably watch it in the near future. But
they don't even really go into telling you why they rented this summer house in the first place. So you kind of have to piece that together, which I didn't think was that difficult to do watching it this time. It's clearly they needed to get away and isolate and be alone as a family because the father was going through some sort of trauma.
It's almost like the way when we get to Pine Street.
Yes.
They explain it, but it's similar with that, right?
Yeah, he was clearly having nightmares and basically having a nervous breakdown.
I thought the nightmare started at this house, and that's part of what's going on.
No, the nightmares returned.
Yeah.
They returned, but I thought they happened like years ago, and this is something that he hasn't thought about in years. And the house is what was causing him to have these nightmares. That's what I was getting out of it. That this was something out of his past that he had already forgotten about, or he hadn't had that nightmare in a while.
One of the clues that really led me to believe that something was up with their marriage, and the fact that he was definitely having a nervous breakdown was certainly his steady temperament throughout. Even when he had these violent outbursts, he was almost like a different person.
Right.
Which he,
in the pool for sure.
Yeah, in the pool for sure. But the scene where he tried to have sex with his wife.
Right. Yeah.
And they referenced that they hadn't done it since David, since they conceived their son.
Is that what he says? See, I was trying to make sense. He goes, I would think that something after 13 years, but I just thought they meant that they had been together for 13 years.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And
I took it as they hadn't been intimate in 13 years.
What? Yeah, but didn't he say something to her in bed when he was holding her? He goes, I don't know if I'll be able to control myself or something, he said. Didn't he make some type of innuendo, some type of reference when they were deciding on the house, when you guys said they were deciding?
That's why I thought he was alluding to the fact that it wasn't happening as often now that it's 13 into the years in the marriage. But I did not get that it hadn't happened since then. But
maybe I'm misinterpreting.
At one point I did, at first, when she got out of the pool and he said something.
But there was definitely sexual frustration. Sorry, David. But, yeah.
There was something else that, no. And what the fuck? I tell you, Karen Black is fucking sexy in this movie. It's something about her. Her body's nice and tight and everything, and she's just, you could just tell, like, some of the facial expressions she makes, she's just got this side to her. Like, in real life, I think. You know, I don't know. She's just got a real sexy thing. Whoever was with her back in 76, man, fucking, my hat's off to you, because I bet she was a beast. Yeah, seriously, she kept me engaged. The movie itself I'm fine with, but I was really stuck on her for a lot of the movie. I was like, man, this woman, yeah, she did something.
I like the look of the film. Not normally a fan of this, but I thought that dream kind of filter look really worked well for this. It kind of had that white haze. If you know what I'm saying. And a lot of films in the 70s had that. It really did work for the atmosphere of the movie. And I think the plot, again, although most of it happens near the end, so I'm not sure if this is spoiler-esque, but I mean, and I know that's why you said maybe you didn't want to read the IMDb Internet Movie Database description, but how the dread and or pain, which leads to the death of the aunt, amongst other things, leads to the rehabilitation of the house. Is that or the reconstruction of the house, and the house gets healthier as the movie goes on. Mm-hmm. And I even read somewhere, this is not my thought, but boy do I agree with it, that whole scene when the clocks start going again, right, it's almost as if the heartbeat of the house kicks into gear. And I thought that was a great analogy, a great way, a thematic element that that's what I kind of took from that as well. But I'm stealing someone else's phrasing.
Hey, it's a good point, though. That clock, that's interesting. And about the clocks, I can see some people, and I was thinking this as I was watching it, and I'm not saying I didn't enjoy myself, because I'm fine with the movie. But, yeah, it does run almost 2 hours. And, yes, it is a slow burn. But I could just see people nowadays watching that movie and say, I mean, excluding the fucking final 5 minutes, whatever. That's taking that out of the equation. Because they would say that. Nothing happened till the end. Only thing I saw happen was a clock wind itself and a door close. That's what I could see modern audiences, like kids, going to see a movie saying after seeing that movie.
Well, that's what they're saying about House of Pine Street for a lot of times. But you know what? The last 30 minutes the last 35 minutes hold a lot of that dread feeling. The downfall is because the director, and I don't know if this is a skill set, but he lingers on things for so long that it drags it out, and sometimes it's really good, and sometimes it's like a get on with it. But I think that adds overall to the tension of the movie. the downfall is the movie is almost 2 hours, and I think you're right. Things could have been trimmed down to keep it a little tighter to make those sequences that much more effective when things are held out. Like that whole end part. I think Karen Black's character goes back in the house, when they're trying to leave for good, goes back in the house, and there's like a good 12 minutes left in the movie, and how that plays out. That literally probably could have taken 2 minutes. But it's 12 minutes left of running time in the movie. And so that just gives you an idea of how slow things kind of play out there at the end.
Well, he was honking the horn 3 times and everything else.
They really needed to show, and I get it, in a very slow, methodical way, the decline of this family due to this house. Because when they first arrived, they're like the nicest family ever. Like, father, like he loves his son, he wants to hang with his boy and have a good time. The mother's, loves her family, she's going to clean this house, and everything's going to be good. The aunt, she's delightful, love Betty Davis, and everything's great. And you're like, oh, this is such a nice family that, the minute the littlest thing starts to happen, and it's slow and it's methodical and it's drawn out, it's a little bit here and there, and that you're just like, you're kind of like holding your breath for the whole movie, just like, oh God, I hope this doesn't end poorly for this family, because they're quite delightful.
Well, that's it. I think the house drains every bit of delightfulness out of the family to reconstruct itself, and then you're left with just total destruction.
That is it completely. I mean, that's I really don't even think you can interpret it any other way. I mean, I think that is it.
But what's weird about this movie is that when you're watching the first half, it seems to me like it's all about almost like what you see when you see the first Amityville movie, where it's affecting the husband. Where what's his name, Ben?
Yes.
Okay. Where Ben, he's the one being affected by it, and he's the one having the dreams. And then the scene in the pool when he's playing with his son in the pool, they start roughhousing, and next thing you know, he's almost drowning him. He's getting like ridiculously fucking aggressive with him, holding him underwater, choke holding, this and that. It gets to the point that and the aunt's watching it, and she's a sweet lady. She's a real nice woman, his aunt, and she's there and she's saying stuff. And she's, what are you doing? And then he gets out, and the kid takes his goggles and he hits his father. And before that, he has a great relationship with his father. And that stuff there, and then afterwards he was kind of afraid to come near his father. And it seemed like it was all about the father for a while, and it's slow. In retrospect, by the time you get to the end, you see that how much is involved with the wife, Marion. But it just seemed like it switched gears. But that's why I said this is the second view movie. Like, I really can't wait to go back and watch it again, in the near future, because knowing what I know about the end and what you pick up on, because you don't really pick up on it to that. I mean, you do pick up on it to a degree when you see Marianne going, because the old lady's there. They said she's 85, but that's the catch to the movie. That's what the family says. We're going away. It's the brother and sister. It's going to be real cheap for you guys. Stay here for the summer. Watch the house. The catch is this old lady, our mother's up in this room, and all you got to do is feed her 3 times a day. She stays in bed most of the time. She has her hobbies, but she stays in her room. She's 85, but she's like a 60-year-old. And that's what they tell her. And Marion's the only one that deals with her. At first, she's reluctant. Not Marion, but the lady behind the door, Mrs. whatever her name is.
Allardyce.
Allardyce?
Allardyce.
Okay, so Miss Allardyce is behind the door, and, at first she's not eating the food, and she's not dealing with anybody. And eventually, you see that she is opening up with Marion. You don't see it. We only hear Marion's side of it. And the aunt at one point wants to talk to her, and she's like, no, she's tired. It's basically a situation where Marianne wants to deal with her one-on-one. At first she was tough, but she's come around, and she just deals with her. We don't see it, though. We're on the other side of the door with everybody else. She goes in there, she feeds her, she talks to her, apparently. No one else knows, and no one else has the key to the door. No one gets in there except her. And I mean, obviously, it's integral to the plot. As you're watching, you know that something's going to come of it. But it just seems like you don't pick up on everything that's going on until much later. At least I didn't. To me, the focus was on the father.
Yeah,
And
it definitely starts off on the father. Yeah, you don't know. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. She's an old woman. She stays upstairs. I mean, she's got a beautiful setup upstairs. She's got a sitting room and all that. She likes to work on her photo collection, and you're
right.
like, oh, okay, all right. And but I mean, something's gonna come of it. But
Of course, you know it's going to go somewhere. You know it's going to have something big to do at the end. And like I said, this is my third time. I just forgot. It's just been a while. It's probably been
oh
about
yeah,
12
yeah.
years. So I plain forgot. But I didn't remember. I knew something was up, but it just seemed in the nightmares with the father having the nightmare of his mother's funeral and that creepy driver. What was he, a hearse driver? What was he?
Yeah,
Chauffeur.
yeah, like a limo, like the limo driver.
But he was creepy.
He
He
was.
was. Yeah, he was creepy. And he comes back in the movie. He comes back in real life. When the aunt's there. I don't know if the aunt saw that or not, or if just he saw it when that scene happened. But his aunt suddenly gets real sick, and it was right after she was really pressing to see the old lady. Right? She was like, maybe I could talk to her. And then Marion says, no, this, that, the other thing. But it just seemed like it kind of tied in with that.
Basically, once the house feels threatened,
There you go.
it sort of fights back against those who pose a threat. And it was, driving the father nuts. He was trying to fight it, but it was haunting him with these dreams of the guy who scared him when he was at his mother's funeral. And I do believe that Aunt Elizabeth did in fact see him. I think he did manifest himself when he was pushing that coffin into the room, which is a real creepy scene.
It is, yeah.
And I do think that Ben kind of looked down, but she didn't, and looked directly at him. It basically probably caused her to have a heart attack and die.
Man, that's a scary thought that somebody that may or may not even have really existed in real life.
Well,
Right?
you assume he existed, in terms
At that-
of
at the
that
funeral?
funeral, and it just, shocking to a young boy whose
Right.
father died, and just this guy just struck him as creepy. Just his nightmare, but his nightmare being transferred on to someone else.
That's scary.
Yeah,
That it would come to life just because they were at this house. Like he saw it drive up the one time. He saw the car drive up and the guy in it, then he was gone. And then he saw it again when the aunt is suddenly knocking on death's door.
yeah.
Which comes kind of out of nowhere. And yeah, see, that's scary. There are some things in this movie. There's tension going on.
Yeah, you can hear her bone breaking, her arm breaking, when she's like moving in the bed earlier, right before she's become sick.
Oh man, yeah. What the hell was that? Yes.
All of a sudden it's like taking hold of her, and it's like she couldn't even like sit up. She went to like sit up, and like you just heard like a snap, and then she starts screaming, and then that look, she's like sweating and staring, and it's like, ooh.
And weird things were happening to her prior to that. They were messing with her like for no reason. Like she was there, and like she said that she would usually have more energy, and she was getting tired, and then she was getting irritable.
Yeah, and then the
and
whole
something else.
the gas leak in David's room, that just was like,
Yeah, what was that even all about? Okay, well I guess we'll wait. Okay, we'll have to get into that. But I just wanted to point out some of the plot points that people could maybe that haven't heard, and the few people that may not want to hear the spoiler parts that haven't seen it. Just as to what they're as to what's going on in this movie.
Yeah.
One thing that really stuck out to me about Marion was when Davy breaks that thing and her reaction to it. What was that thing anyway? That glass? It looks like what the
like
hell
a
was
big,
that?
yeah, it was like a glass bowl or something. But in his defense, he was just looking at it, and he wasn't gonna drop it until she went, David, and just scared the fucking shit out of him.
Right? Yeah. Then he breaks this glass thing on the ground and runs, and then she yells at him about it. And then she comes and she's acting as if I don't know, it was an antique of hers passed down through her family.
Yeah,
like she was that upset about it.
She's like, you could tell she's changing. She's wearing these crazy outfits that she's finding evidently in the house somewhere, because she's wearing this like old get-up outfits.
Oh yeah, she had the thing around her neck.
Yeah.
Well, that was sexy though, man. I'll get off Karen Black.
You get off on Karen Black?
I tell you, if I was around in '76, well, I was, but I was 4 years old. But that's besides the point. So, she was fine. But yeah, I guess, is there anything else plot-wise we can talk about before we jump into the spoilers?
No, I like. I mean, I love the house itself. It's beautiful. I mean,
It
it's
is.
real creepy. You know, the pool area. I love that.
Yes.
Certain scenes. I do love when they're walking through the graveyard, and he notices that there's that the graves are all from like a certain year and stuff, and they see that little like bicycle,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
which
I like the
actually,
soundtrack. I'll tell you that.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
really
Soundtrack was good, and you know that house was used in Phantasm, right?
What?
That house was the big mortuary in Phantasm.
Holy shit.
I should have been. I think they said they use it in a bunch of movies, and you could still take tours of it now.
Really?
I thought I read that it was used in other movies. I didn't remember.
Was that the one from the Texas Chainsaw remake?
No, that is not the same one. This has a lot more character to it.
Yeah, I thought maybe they just did something different with it, but the structure, I guess, reminded me of it in a way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Best little whorehouse in Texas, maybe? I don't know. I don't know. Well, listen, it's not a big announcement, but we're just going to go into spoilers now. I don't know if it matters to anybody, but we're being conscious for the listeners. So let's just talk about whatever we want to talk about now.
The ending. I don't know, like honestly, because we've really led right up to this end part. Truth be told, the only scene I don't think we talked about was when he tries to escape with his son Davey the first time, and just says like kind of cutting his losses and just decides to hightail it out of there without his wife, and takes the car and then goes for it, and at the house makes a tree collapse in front of him so they can't escape.
Yeah.
It's Evil Dead. It won't let us leave.
Very Evil Dead. Because
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
tree
the
actually
vine wraps
wrapped-
around
yeah,
them. Yeah.
Exactly.
The whole thing, the fact that the vine wraps around him, that the fact that the house won't let them leave, which is what they say in Evil Dead, it's not going to let us leave, Ash. You know, that's what I was thinking of, that Evil Dead might have gotten some ideas from this, you know, which is cool. You don't see that, you know, that the house won't let you leave. And at first, I thought that it was, and in a way, I almost wish it could have gone that way. I was thinking that it will only let you leave if you provide it with other occupants. So I was actually thinking that the brother and sister, Burgess Meredith and what's her name, they were only allowed to leave because they fed it more people to feed on, and that's why they couldn't leave. That's what I was thinking. I go, oh, maybe that's what's going on here.
Well, but then, so the ending, although you don't see them come through and it's all done voiceover, how I, now, and again, this is how I interpret it, that they actually did return. We're just hearing their voices, and they're marveling at how the house is back to its original state because they fed, like, well, as you put it, fed them this family, and that's what they wanted, and now they've got their mom back as well. And their mom is actually physically taking the form of Karen Black. So when Oliver Reed's character, Ben, when he sees her at the end, she's physically inhabited Karen Black's body, made her age, but it's her. Mm-hmm. Kills him, kills the boy in a really weird scene where they do that still frame for whatever reason. That was not necessary.
It was cool though. I liked that, and I liked the scream and the way it sounded. It was kind of creepy, man.
Well, the
Very
scream was
creepy.
good. The freeze frame didn't need it because the bricks falling on the camera were good enough, and then you just hear the voiceover with it panning onto the three victims. Notice how the wife's not there because the wife has physically taken the form as the mother.
Yes.
That's how.
Yeah.
So that's how I interpreted it. So 3 souls taken, just like all the souls before that, to rejuvenate this house over and over and over again, and now they've got their mother back as well.
But the wife will eventually get old and die, and then the house will have to regenerate again.
Yes, exactly.
Because there was nobody really in the room eating.
Well, that's
She
was doing it, and they gave that away. They did that. That's the one thing that I couldn't say that I wanted to say.
They
now.
they kind of
just
gave
showed
it
her doing it.
Not
One
only
time.
that, they showed her eating, but if you notice, when she first gets there, she goes up, and the tray of food
yeah.
is sort of half eaten. After that, every tray of food, no food is touched.
Really,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that part. I just
Yeah.
was eating.
So it's her eating it and slowly transforming into the mother. And, once the house has the mother back, then it can go on and thrive, and then eventually it'll need new occupants.
So wait, in other words, the house is the mother, so to speak. As long
The,
as the mother lives on, the house lives on.
yes, the house basically is the mother. Yeah.
Okay, so what do the kids get out of it? Do the kids? Does Burgess Meredith and the other woman? I keep saying that Burgess Meredith and the other woman because I don't because it's it's Burgess Meredith. Everyone knows him, but
Yeah.
Burgess
Roz and
Meredith.
Arnold.
Who? What's her name?
Roz and Arnold.
Okay, Roz and Arnold. Are they actually a lot older than they appear? Are they given like an eternal life, and that's what they get in exchange for this? Because otherwise, why would they give a fuck?
That's what I'm pretty sure them and the caretaker are just staples of the house that never actually leave the house, just sort of dissipate when new occupants come in and then reappear when the process is over.
Which is why they're just voices at the end, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think they ever left. I don't think they were ever really there.
What? Wow.
Hashtag mind blown.
Hashtag horror.
I mean, I really enjoyed this film. I mean, I really enjoyed it the first. I think I've seen it two other times, maybe.
Just
But
like-
but this time I was really into it, and I was really into these sort of these ideas that these open interpretations that it could be. Now I know it's based on a book,
right.
a novel, and I believe I read that the novel ends at the pool scene.
What? When the fucking waves start going crazy and the father's in the
Yeah.
in his
Which
fucking comatose
is such a I love that scene. I think it's a great scene.
It's crazy because all of a sudden you realize that the evil is in the fucking pool, and the mother and Marion knows because she's like, stay out of the deep end, and then it explains because when he was fucking with his son earlier, he was in the deep end with him, and then and you're like, so. But the thing is, don't you wish they would have shown why?
And those
I'm not complaining.
No, you just know there's just a lot of evil in that house. So many people have died in that house. Those broken glasses he found at the bottom of the pool, that's in the beginning when he first attacks David with the roughhousing. He doesn't start attacking until he puts on those glasses.
But it's just the deep end. She said, stay out of that end.
Yeah, but it must have been like that. Must be one of the ways a lot of the people died. It must have drowned a lot of people. Those must have belonged to one of the other occupants. And once he put those glasses on, he saw through these angry, dead eyes.
Wow. But I'll tell you, when we got to the end, and because that's what I forgot, when they got in the car and they were going to leave, I'm like, there's no way this movie's going to end fucking Amityville style. That they just fucking leave, and that's the end of it. And I'm thinking, Marion better go back into this fucking house or do something with this old lady, or I'm going to be pissed off. If this movie ends right now, but then I'm thinking, no, I enjoyed this movie. Couldn't remember why. It would have left a bad taste in my mouth. But I'm like, she better go back in that fucking house. And she did, of course. But there was a moment there when I was like, don't tell me this is what's going to happen, because we want to know what's going on here. So we all knew that was going to happen. And I'm assuming we all knew what was waiting in the rocking chair when the guy got there. I knew it. It wasn't because of memory. It was just because of experience. That what else was it going to be? They weren't going to do a Mrs. Bates, I don't think.
Yeah, that's what you kind of thought was going on.
Yeah, but that's funny. It reminded me of that.
Yeah,
it's almost like Janet Leigh going up to the Mrs. Bates, turning it around. I mean, the first thing I thought of was Psycho, but I loved it. And then what a scare! He just gets catapulted out that window, and that the gore effect there was shockingly effective. Mixed with the editing,
awesome.
The sun looks up. He hits the window. There's a blood chunk splatter at the sun. You see his bloody face through the windshield, poking through. The sun's scream is so authentic, and it just like tears right through you because it actually feels real. And then runs, and then the fucking chimney explodes, and it crushes him to death. Beautiful.
Yeah, I honestly,
Awesome.
I didn't remember the blood from the other viewing. So when I saw that, I'm like, holy shit,
Me
this
too.
just took a drastic turn.
Well,
Right.
whenever the movie's dry and they don't show you much, and then boom, they do something like that. That's when it's hard hitting.
Yeah,
right? We're so used to it being, nowadays they can show whatever they want, whenever they want, and the shock value's kind of gone. It takes a lot more to shock us now than the average folk. But funny enough, that was shocking.
yeah.
I remember my
Totally.
mouth dropped. My
Holy
mouth
fuck.
dropped when I saw it. I was like, oh.
Right. Oh, it was great. His his head was wedged perfectly in that fucking part of the windshield. Just, right in there. Oh man, upside down. Oh, that was badass.
I heard he did his own stunt for that. This was his last film.
Oh man, that was good though. I have a question. What was the meaning of that gas leak? Just to cause tension in the house? Were they trying to kill David?
They were trying to hurt David. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the house was feeding. Shortly after that scene is when the clocks came back on.
Okay, so they don't want anyone to live except a female presence. Everyone else, they're fucking meat for the beast.
Yeah.
Nightbreed, yeah.
I know.
And she'll eventually be meat for the beast.
Yeah, because she can only go on for so long. Because she's
Yeah.
a human. She's only gonna live so long.
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah.
I really like the idea that brother and sister and handyman. Handy
Handy Manny.
Manny.
Did you ever see that show, Handy Manny?
Oh man.
Yeah, in the ending, like I said, none of us were expecting the Mrs. Bates. I immediately thought of Pin. That's what I thought of.
Yeah.
Before it happened, I'm like, this is going to be like Pin. She's going to be in that fucking thing. And sure enough, you know, she doesn't exist or whatever. I didn't know why, but I knew it was going to be her. I didn't know where the real Mrs. whatever was going to be or what the story was, but I knew that Karen Black was going to be in that spot acting like that woman.
Yeah, because, I mean, when they're talking about Mother is reborn, Mother is youthful again and beautiful, and, you know, they're clearly talking about the house. So the only thing that's a little maybe unclear is whether or not Karen Black's character is even still in that house.
Right. Yeah, and how about the pictures at the end?
And that's the reason why you think that she is still in the house, because her picture's not up there.
Right. Right.
And the movie could have been as satisfying. I don't know.
If her picture was there too.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say if her picture was there too, and because at that point it seemed like it was all about because they were just focusing on the house. That's what they kept focusing on over and over and over again at the end. I loved how they did it too, because it kind of looked like it was snapshots, or actual photos being taken of the house, and it did look beautiful.
Absolutely. Well, are we ready for ratings? Or is there anything else?
I'm good for ratings.
I'm good for ratings too.
All right, go ahead.
Let me start. Oh, I give it a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10, and really, it's just, I think, again, slow burn, understandable. Taking consideration the age, the whole 9 yards, I do still think you could have the 20 minutes could have been cut out of this easily without losing a lot of the love of the family for the setup before everything starts turning to shit.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I was actually wavering around that 7 out of 10 for most of the movie. But when the movie ended, even though I saw the final thing coming with what happened with Marion, because it was so thought-provoking and because of the different possible, I didn't know where this conversation was going to go, and if someone was going to enlighten me, and pretty much we all said we were all kind of on the same page. We had the same ideas. I'm really into that idea. It's kind of an original idea. So I like that. So I'm actually bumping it up, and I really want to watch it again. I think next time I'm going to enjoy it even more. So I'm kind of jumping the gun a little bit, but the ideas were so good that, I'm actually going to go a full 8 out of 10.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. I think this is a very unique take on a haunted house film. I mean, just the scene alone where it's raining and the house is literally shedding itself, and as it's falling apart, you see the new parts of it right underneath it.
That was cool.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
And just a lot of these interpretations that you could have. It makes it a film that I look forward to watching again, and I'm going to come in at 8 as well. I was actually higher on it at first, but then when I got done watching, I was like, I just felt like it should have been shorter, been tighter somehow.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
we all agree on that. Yeah.
But I wasn't bored by any of it. Like I wasn't looking at the clock. I was enjoying every moment of it. But when you see an hour and 55-minute runtime, you're like, it didn't have to be. It just felt like it just could have been. But So 8 for now.
Nice.
Yep. Right
Yeah.
on. We're all half head blowns, right?
Yeah. Definitely. Half head blown.
Nice. Half head blown. Okay, so that's gonna bring us to our main event, if you will, and our new movie. And that is The House on Pine Street.
All right, so our main review, The House on Pine Street, 2015, although 2016 for us mere mortals.
Mere mortals. Nice.
Not the Jason Lloyds of the world who get to see everything at where does he go to? Fantastic Fest?
I get confused, maybe.
Whichever one's in Texas.
Texas Frightmare? I don't know.
Texas Frightmare, Texas
Everything's
Roadhouse.
bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, everything's bigger. All right. The House on Pine Street, a psychological horror about a young woman coping with an unwanted pregnancy after moving into a seemingly haunted house. Now, this film, I'll just go ahead and say it. I thought the acting was really good in this one, and I thought the lead girl was terrific. The girl who played Jennifer, this Emily Goss. I thought she really carried the film.
I thought she was 90% or maybe 80% effective. There's a couple of scenes that, you know what, I'm not even sure if it was her or if it was the guy that played her husband, but there's a couple of just, for the most part, I agree with you, but there's a couple of scenes where I'm like, it wasn't sold. However, it's a low-budget movie.
Yeah.
Filmed over 19 days.
Really? It looks good, though.
It does look good.
It looks great.
Yeah.
And so for that, you know what, they're working faster, they're working harder, so it's almost forgivable. So I almost will erase my critique of the acting based on just the fact of how quickly they were working to get this movie done.
There you go. I'm fine with the acting. I have no issue.
I'm fine with the acting. What I was going to say is a lot of the criticism I'm reading, and I can understand it, is a lot of people weren't thrilled with the house. Just the house from the outside itself doesn't even really have like a haunted look to it.
No, you know what?
Why should it?
Yeah, exactly, because it depends on your take on this movie.
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
Why should everything be fucking... Why should a house that's haunted or supposedly or whatever, why does it have to look haunted? Isn't it scarier when it looks like the fucking house next door? Why does everything have to be
Agreed, yeah.
looking like the fucking Amityville house? It's just... come on, man.
Oh, easy.
But you know what I'm saying? Why would that be a criticism?
Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you. Like I didn't have any issues with it. The house actually looked a lot bigger on the inside.
Yeah, well,
It's like the TARDIS.
Yeah. We're Doctor Who geeks, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
it's just cliche. A house does not have to look haunted.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I mean, one of the things that bugged me about this film, and I'm still not decided on where I'm going to land on this film overall when it comes to ratings.
When we get to spoilers, I'll know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, because I did enjoy this film, but there was a tiny little subplot within this film that I found so much more intriguing than the story that was going on in the movie.
What can we talk about it now?
Was it about energy?
No, the tiny subplot with the twins next door.
Right, it never went anywhere.
Oh my god, that was absolutely terrifying.
Yes, I think they dropped the ball there. That's a criticism for me.
When that neighbor started telling, and I get it is germane to Jennifer's situation. I just want to use the word germane.
Very nice,
but
yeah.
it is, and again, we'll get to that, you know, in spoilers and stuff. But it was such a effective and creepy thing. I'm like, oh, I want to see that story. Like, let's go to the next house on Pine Street.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. What did you
think, Christian? You didn't think that story was like eerie as fuck?
No, I did, but it's funny that you bring it up now. I'm more intrigued to know more about it, but at the time I was so more interested in what was just going on that I never really thought twice about it, to be honest. But obviously I'm in the minority here because you both feel like that was a missed opportunity for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like it played its part, but it was like so good that it was like there should have been more. But like I understand why there wasn't. It served its purpose. I think it was there to help Jennifer have an epiphany.
Yeah, I get that. It just seems like Ah, man. Yeah.
I thought it's interesting that we're covering this movie on Mother's Day because when her mother first showed up, I'm like, oh my god.
Oh, yeah. She's only been in 2 movies. Speaking of actresses, I looked her up because she looked familiar. I thought she was someone that was hot in the 80s, but an older version of it. And I couldn't remember who she was. I'm like, she looks familiar. And I looked her up, and she was only in one other movie, and it was in 2006 or 2007. Isn't that weird?
You know, that's happened to me with a couple of movies that I've watched from that list I'm doing, and it's I'll look up an actress and be like, I know this girl, and literally like done nothing else.
But how do you have a career like that? How do you have a movie in 2007 and then one in 2016 and that's it? Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
It's
Yeah.
very strange. I wonder, you know, she must have some sort of other career that is involved in the film industry that she's.
Maybe so. I didn't see it on IMDb though.
No, I know, because I thought she was good. I mean, she was. Oh man, she was so nasty from the
Oh,
start.
she was. Yeah, I know women just like that. Fucking.
Oh yeah.
I
She
can't
she
wait.
was she was playing an actual person there.
Totally. Christian, you were about to say something.
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't that important. So that's why I didn't try to derail you guys. But no, the one thing that I've watched this movie twice, and the one thing that I noticed the main actress's eye, one of her eyes look like it's twitching, or it just looks different than the other one. That always threw me off. I don't know what it is. I don't know if you guys noticed one of her eyes being different.
Now I will.
Yeah, it was just a weird thing that I noticed the first time, and it's just maybe because I'm an asshole.
I was looking at her eyes. I noticed something. I can't say I noticed the twitching because I didn't, but I was definitely drawn to her eyes.
But I don't know if it's a twitch. I might be saying it's a twitch. I think it's just one eye's bigger than the other.
Yeah,
And it just kept-
but I'm an eye guy.
Yeah, okay, well, there you go. Well, next time you watch it, you tell me. And the other thing is, I think maybe some of these subplots are thrown in to make it more of a traditional style ghost story, yet is it? And I think having the subplot of those two girls next door, having this median guy involved, all the elements of a ghost story, yet they don't necessarily play into anything other.
You mean a chiropractor?
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is actually interesting. I
is.
mean, I'm grasping at straws here, but one of the things, you know, when we get to spoilers about the chiropractor thing, I wonder if it was intentionally put in there, and I'll talk about that later on. But I really, you know, I hated the husband. Like you get the sense, you feel bad for Jennifer from the very start. You're like, you get the sense that like everybody's out against her.
Well,
You do get that, but at the same token, it's her take. It's kind of like what we're talking about with High Tension.
Oh yeah,
We're following
yeah.
her story. So, like, is the guy like? It sounds like she had a nervous. Well, it doesn't sound like she had some sort of breakdown.
She tried to get rid of her baby.
Self-abort, and
Yeah.
yeah. Well, come on. Wouldn't
and
that's why
the guy's like, yeah. So I see where Dave's coming from. Like,
Yeah.
the guy's like, oh no, we're gonna protect this. This is my baby too, and whatever. However, I mean, we can again, you can argue pro-life versus pro. Yeah, it's not about that. It's just about the fact that it's gone to the point where it's beyond that,
Yeah.
and he just wants to keep her as healthy as possible. Their relationship's obviously broken or on the rocks. He's trying to mend it. He wants to be a family, but if that's not going to work, he wants that baby, and
Man.
he'll
Yeah.
move on.
He goes out of his way to surprise her by inviting her friend
Yeah.
back from where are they from?
Chicago.
Chicago. They're in Kansas now. That's a cool thing to do to cheer up your wife if she's down in the dumps. Not a lot of husbands have the fucking the state of mind to reach out and do something like that and make it a surprise on top of it. I think he was doing fine. I think towards the end, we're not really sure who to believe anyway. We don't know.
I think
She
at the
cracking
beginning.
up.
I think at the beginning we're not sure who to believe. I mean, I think towards the end it's a little bit clearer who we should believe. We see certain scenes and certain things towards the end that make it. I don't want to say easier because it's a very ambiguous movie. Even if I watched it twice too, and but I think at the beginning I understand why you can look at it both ways. Why I'm saying, like, not that I necessarily was on Jennifer's side at the beginning, even though I kind of was at the beginning, because I'm like, all
They're
right.
supposed to be.
Yeah, because obviously the mother's being a bitch. And did you notice, she says, we ordered a pizza, and you notice he comes back into the room, he's eating one of the wraps.
Oh.
But then there's also that scene right away where you know she's troubled because she's standing and she's hiding her belly behind the box.
Yeah.
Yes,
in
and she's
the mirror.
digging it, like, yeah.
Yeah, like why can't we go back to this?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. How about this? What something else that never went anywhere? There's things in this movie that didn't go anywhere that I thought they were going to. How about when she was at the party and those three people were looking at her deadpan, real serious for no reason, and then a little girl did it again later when she was at some other place.
I have an interpretation for that, Christian. If I noticed you were about to say something, if you want to go and see if you're going to say the same thing I am.
I would say that was her psychosis. I thought, again, it's in her mind.
Okay.
I actually didn't think they were staring her down like that, but now, Brandon, I'm interested in seeing your take.
I was going to say the exact same thing. I think she was almost viewing it as a dread, like, this is how I'm going to end up. She saw those old women like, this is how I'm going to end up, a suburban old lady. Like, it was a sense of dread, and she felt like the world closing in on her. You notice at the party, at the very beginning, she's already picking at her nails, ripping her nails off. And the same thing when she sees with the kid. She sees the mother fighting with the daughter, and then it pans over to another kid, and she's like, this is what I have to look forward to. I'm going to be, at parties with my child, and, it was just like, it was definitely all in her mind.
Okay. All right. Well, that actually
No, not definitely, but,
No, but that's
how
I
felt.
No, that's fine. I didn't come up with anything.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be
like the aliens or something.
I don't know. I thought something was going to be up with the baby, something with the house where they knew something.
Yeah.
And she knew something, and it was going to be some supernatural type thing. But
I thought it with the guy who was rubbing the wall. I was like, what's this guy doing, rubbing the wall?
Right.
Like, who goes to someone else's house and starts rubbing their walls?
Yeah. And about the chiropractor, about that character, I'll give this a plus in that department. I like the fact that we didn't have that typical thing where somebody that has some type of, ability, if you will, says, okay, this is what you have, this is what you're going to have to do about it. It wasn't that. It was unconventional. And I like
unconventional.
Because I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
Know.
I think, what I'll tell you, I think it's this, but I really don't know.
Yeah, because even thinking, even if I'm wrong, thinking what I think it is and the way they played out with his character, I thought it was actually just as effective and creepier, in fact, than going the traditional, we must fight the demons.
Right. Well, yeah, nobody wanted to see that. And as I'm watching this movie, I'm thinking, until I get more towards the end and I start seeing different things, it seemed to me like this would have been something that would have come to theaters. I'm like, I could have seen this movie being advertised.
I'm surprised it hasn't come to theaters.
But granted, the way it played out, I don't know if that would have been, if it would have worked. I think it might have been more subject to criticism if it did come to theaters because it's unconventional.
Yeah.
It definitely, because I've read, even though it didn't come to theaters, I've read enough reviews that it seems to be a mixed bag. People either love it for what it's trying to do or hate it because they think it went absolutely nowhere. And they say it lacks a climax, and I'm not sure I agree with that. I just think it's not a climax they're expecting, and if you're viewing this as a traditional horror ghost story, it might not be satisfying based on what you might be expecting. They might have been expecting a big showdown or like a Conjuring or Insidious style, and it's not that story.
Yeah,
See,
I think
I agree.
I was going to say, I think people are just assuming a ghost story has to be about a haunted house or a demon or a spirit, but it could be a personal ghost. It's clear it's an unwanted pregnancy. I mean, it's in the description of the movie.
Yeah. I didn't know that. See, there you go. Yeah. I didn't see. I sat down and watched it blindly, and I didn't pick up on that until much later.
Yeah.
That's just me, though, because I remember the guy said something to her. I think it was the chiropractor, was the psychic practor. I think he was there, and he said something to her about, I'm glad you weren't hurt or the baby wasn't hurt.
Yeah.
There was some remark, but even then, and she was like, "How do you know about that?"
Yeah, who
and I
told
still
you that?
didn't. Yeah, but I still didn't know what was going on, and I didn't find out till later. Yeah, I did dig on that scene that you're talking about when she looked at it and saw herself without the tummy, but I didn't read too deeply into it. But
And
later on, it
she
does
even
come back
said,
to me.
I don't have a tummy.
Yeah, right. She was like, I don't know. I didn't. It could have been a combination of anything. I just, I know it didn't occur to me that there wasn't that it was unwanted to that extreme until they came out and spelled it out for me. Maybe it was just me that I didn't pick up on it. It does happen. It happens with everybody in different movies. Maybe it's more obvious to other people. It wasn't to me. So
Look, I think
don't
it's
know.
subtle in a way, but at the same time, I'm thinking the minute you're introducing the mother, I'm thinking, okay, I can understand why this woman doesn't want children. I can see it. She does. I mean, look what she comes from. She doesn't, she doesn't want to turn into her mother. She clearly just has a broken relationship with her husband, and it just seems like she's almost being forced, like she'd been moved to Kansas, back to Kansas to be put on lockdown until she has this baby.
If you want to just talk about the scare scenes in general, if you're thinking about it as a traditional ghost story, they build and they're quite good, and there's some really cool ones in there. The shower one,
Yeah.
I'm not in
Yes.
the mood. I'm not in the mood. Very well set up.
Yeah.
Very
About
cool.
the guy who didn't leave the party, the first one. That
Yeah.
was creepy. That was
Yeah.
creepy as
Oh.
fuck.
Yeah. So the shadow, yeah, that was it. That fuck, and that comes back, and
Yeah.
just very well done, and it keeps building and building and
Yeah.
building.
The mouse traps with the handprints.
Yes,
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was really well done.
The kid laughing and seeing the ghost, and
Okay.
and you know what I mean?
I have a
Yeah.
problem with the kid thing. That's my first. She never once told anybody that the kid mentioned. That's one thing when I watch a horror movie and someone's trying to convey their case to somebody desperately, and they finally have someone else who agrees with them, and they don't try their damnedest to say it. She never once told the mother, her friend Lauren, your son just said something about a ghost and mommy and a ghost upstairs, and then in the middle of the night when she finds him on the stairs or in the top there, when she comes, it's 3 a.m. in the morning and they're talking and she screams and they react the way they do. Why wouldn't she say at that moment, say, oh my god, the reason I screamed is because he said something about ghosts being here and this and that? Why would you not?
I think
Do
the
you think
husband
that
already gave up on that. Like, I think right at that scene, the mom whisks the kid away into the washroom because he's cut and bleeding, and then the husband says, "I don't want to hear anything about ghosts." I don't quote me on that, but I thought it was something along those lines. Like he was already.
he does
done
say
with-
stop or no?
Yeah.
She does go to say
Just-
something. And
It's three. He
Yeah.
says it's 3 o'clock in the morning.
It's almost like they don't want to hear it, even if she was going to say, and she knows that because of the situation that they're in the first place, being there.
Yeah.
So
guess
it's
so.
almost as if she's trapped from her own actions. She can't say anything, whether it's true or not.
I would if I put myself in that position, and if all of a sudden I have an alibi, I'm gonna I'm gonna do everything in my power to convey that message. Say, hey, why don't you ask your son? She's like best friends with this girl. Ask your son what he just told me. That's all I'd say. Or even the next.
No, I agree with you, but at the same time, if it plays out a certain way, maybe the son didn't even see anything. Maybe he just said something because he heard them talking about ghosts. You know how little
Maybe
kids
so.
are.
Yeah, I hear you.
They were walking around the house, talking about ghosts and this and that. And he could have just said and just been waving, hi.
That's exactly it. And this leads me to another thing, because I won't go into detail about this, but I'm interested in hearing your thoughts, whether now or later, about the very last shot of the movie. I think that very last shot of the movie is very telling, because I think it very much explains the movie. Even though it could be ambiguous, you can look at it both ways, or you can view the movie both ways.
I
think the very
can.
last shot explains it, how they want you to think about it.
Okay.
And
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think because, again, I have to be very vague, so we'll come back to that thought point in the spoiler segment, because I'll write a little note for last shot.
Okay, maybe we should go into it. Maybe we should give our. I mean, what else can we say is that this woman keeps seeing things but nobody else is seeing it. Her husband says more than once, "I'm not being haunted." And I'll tell you, I did get a Rosemary's Baby type of a feel, a vibe when she goes into the hospital the first time and she wakes up and her husband and her mother are there and she's telling them what's going on and they're kind of trying to, explain it from a medical point of view, saying it's like it's all in your head.
Yeah.
Like they did in Rosemary's Baby. That's what I was thinking of. And that was kind of interesting because I wasn't really sure if the bitchy mother-in-law was going to get along with the husband because typically they wouldn't.
And she loved the husband.
Yeah, then they got together and I was like, and that added to it. I mean, that was one thing I liked, that it had that vibe. This is a real mixed bag for me. There's a lot of things I really liked, and there was some things that just didn't add up to me, or there was missed opportunities. So, at this point, I'm just going to give it, I think I got it right this time, I think I'm going to give it the eye, ears, and nosebleed with a mild rumbling.
You got it.
Yes!
Yes.
Yes, I got it. That's what I'm giving it now. People that are going to stick with the show to the spoilers, maybe that'll change with these guys' help like it did with The Invitation last week. But we'll see. But that's what I'm going to give it right now. So, what do you guys have?
Well, Brandon, you want to go first?
Yeah. Right now, I'm at a half a head explosion.
Yeah, and I'm right with you, Brandon. I'm at my half head exploded.
All right. Hopefully, I can be half head exploded too by the end of the spoiler talk. So, okay, here we go. We'll do the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you don't want to hear spoilers, shut it off now. So, spoil away.
Well, maybe I'll start with that last shot. So, in my opinion, the last shot with the door, it's almost like that coin in frickin' Inception. The last shot of the door not closing, not doing anything, I think it's indicative of it all being in her head. And answers the question of the fact that I thought it was all in her head, and that's how a lot of people view it, that even though there's some things that we might have to go into as an explanation, if the door slammed, it would have obviously insinuated
A haunted house. Yeah.
maybe have been effective because they have played it that it was all in her head, or it could have gone either way, and it could have been effective, but the fact that it didn't slam, I think, does answer it.
I was waiting for the slam, I gotta tell you.
Well, I think they did it amazingly. Like, it lingers on that, and then it cuts to black, and I even said, I just turned around, I'm like, awesome. I just turned to my wife, I'm like, I love that ending.
I respect it, and if it would have closed, in a way it would have been cliche. That's something we've seen before. So I do like that, but I also will say, when they pulled up to the house and they stopped and looked, the baby started pitching a fit. The woman kind of looked disgruntled, and then when they started to drive away, the baby got quiet. So I think there is something going. That's my issue at the end, ultimately, is that I'm still left wondering if it's energies or there is something in the house.
You're both right. You're both right.
Mm-hmm.
Because
You're
could go
both.
either way. I know.
I no. The way I look at it is, the house was never evil. There was nothing wrong with the house. It was her all along. It was
So
her
how the
evil
husband?
energy.
Then how did
What?
the husband get thrown out the fucking window? She wasn't even there. Why would that happen?
She hated that house and resented her husband so much. It happened right after, what's his name, Walter, the chiropractor, says to her, "Why are you still here? Why don't you just leave? What is it that's preventing you from leaving?" And then she stops and thinks.
It's
It's
him.
him.
And then it goes to the scene where he gets thrown from the window. She conjures up so much evil energy that the house fights back and kills him. The house is not evil, though.
So what? She's evil?
She's evil.
Interesting.
The reason why the baby was crying is because she's looking at this house and sensing her negative energy. The minute the baby stops crying when they're driving away, it's because they're heading back to Chicago, where she wanted to go all along.
And so she's taken the energy, and that's why the door slam at the end.
Now, I read a post that somebody said,
Oh.
once they get to Chicago, something bad's going to happen to that baby. And you know what? Could be. Because she's
Could
going to
be.
start to resent that child because she's not going to have the same life in Chicago.
Yeah, I know. She's going all by herself. Fucking
Yeah.
bang. She could stay. And her mother even told her. She's like, and her mother says that in a way. See, that's weird. She's like, if you stay here, I can help you and everything else. And then she's like, well, I'm happy for you because you got what you want.
You got what you wanted, yeah.
Oh, that's fucking. That's like
I mean,
bittersweet.
the fact that she was having these little occurrences at the swimming pool, at the gym, or at the Y, wherever she was, and then also in her mother's house. These little episodes suggest that it was always with her. I mean, when Walter freaked out when he first came to like look at the house, when he freaked out in the room, it only started the minute she screamed at him and then got all angry.
Yeah, that confused the fuck out of me because
Yeah,
I didn't see anything happen. I thought that he scared her and she knocked something down, and then she thought she saw a shadow on the wall. But I was like, I didn't see anything really supernatural happening there.
Yeah,
so
there was
I don't
nothing
know.
supernatural happening. I don't think there was.
He
I
just
think
felt the negative energy. I
he
think
felt
is
her
what-
negative
yeah.
energy, and he realized at that point that what's going on is it's her. It was always her.
Now, okay, now can I take it one step further? Because I know in the so that you could look at it maybe three ways. Not you could look at it as it's a traditional ghost story. It's all ghosts. You could look at it as it's about energies and all that. And I also think you can look at it a third way, and the energy subplot is there to help substantiate that it could possibly be ghosts. It could be all in her head and whatever. How about that she's just pure evil and it's just negative energy, not meaning anything supernatural, meaning she physically killed her husband. We just didn't see it because it's being told in a ghost story way, meaning that it's kind of like high tension. It's kind of like whatever. Where I'm going with it is we're viewing it through negative energy, but she physically pushed her husband out the window, and and you know, like when she's getting lifted up and whatever like that, she's not really
Right.
getting lifted up.
No.
It's just kind of like her throwing herself over. She threw herself over the stairs. She threw herself up. Yeah, we're seeing it in a more cinematic way. And
Absolutely.
whatnot. And when the husband's getting pulled, simply she could be pulling him, they could be fighting, but we're just seeing it from a different viewpoint. There's that aspect too. Now that might be, and I kind of side with a little bit of that theory as well, because my mind goes back and forth between. I've never taken it as a straight ghost story though, where it's just ghosts. I've
Yeah,
taken
the scene where she's flying around, where she looks like she's Olympic high jumping or something.
yeah.
Right.
She's like, woo, woo. Definitely, it is her, trying to hurt herself.
Yeah, but what about when she's laying on her stomach and she's being dragged and pulled?
I think she's just throwing a fit.
I read I read something like it made me, because I actually thought of this too, and I read something about this as well. Remember Fight Club?
I was gonna say Fight Club. There's
Yeah.
Fight Club in it. Okay.
Yeah, and it's weird, but we have established mental illness
Or liar,
Or-
liar.
or liar.
I'm
Yes.
kicking my own ass. I'm kicking my ass. I like that, and I thought about it. I'm like, well, with the husband, I thought about that. Maybe she did kill him. I didn't
Yeah.
give it too much added thought, but I like it because, they're just showing it as if she's thinking about it from the house. But, I mean, you don't see it. You just hear the door, and then, the negative energy in the house wouldn't really manifest itself unless she was in it, because that was the only time it seemed to manifest itself is when she was looking at it.
And,
So,
sorry,
yeah.
go ahead, keep going. No, I didn't want to take you off that thought.
but I felt like he saw it.
That's the
that's-
problem. That's
that's
Right,
the
he
only thing I
did
have.
see
Yeah.
it. They
Yeah.
showed him seeing it.
That's
It
it.
could have been more ambiguous if they didn't, because he could have said who's there,
He did.
and they could have just and then that could have been her,
Yeah,
and then they could have cut it.
exactly.
But then that's the problem. So that's the only. You're right, and that's the only thing that kind
Yeah.
of. But did he see her? But then that.
And then the phone
Yeah.
call with the sounds on the phone. That was,
Yeah.
I like having that as a third option too. I mean, the ambiguity hurts it a little because you kind of want to be able to decisively pick one while you really can't. But at the same time, it's movies like that I tend to enjoy more. You can kind of interpret it many different ways, and it'll keep the discussion open for hopefully, time to come, when other people see it and stuff like that.
Well, I read a lot of people said, "Why bother? Why bother?" Like watching it. And I'm like,
Yeah, you see the typical. I saw, one person post worst horror movie ever. It's like, okay, apparently this is the only horror movie you've ever seen then, because that would make it the best and the worst you've ever seen.
Yeah, fuck you. Nah. You guys have seen it twice, correct?
yeah.
Yeah, I put it back on a few hours before we started recording because I actually was mainly listening to it and then going to different scenes and listening and looking for things.
Well, there you go. See, that's my rule. See, there it is. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't get that all important second view. Maybe if I did, I would have, interpreted it differently because you know how it is. And yeah, man. See, same
But
things happen.
this was one I was really looking forward to. This was one I mentioned on our 2015 show.
Me
Yeah.
too.
It's
I
it's
was
fun,
wanting to
it's
see
it's
it.
it's funny that we actually covered in the last two shows two of the movies that I mentioned, which were The Invitation and House on Pine Street. Those were
Nice.
those were two that I had talked about that I was really looking forward to, just from hearing so much buzz about each one.
Nice. And next show you have no choice because the listeners chose it. So.
What's that?
I said, the next show you have no choice because the listeners chose it. So that ends your streak.
Oh no, I'm actually no. I'm looking.
I know.
I'm actually looking forward to revisiting House of the Devil.
And popcorn, absolutely. I definitely.
Popcorn. I love House of the Devil. I only saw once, and I was sort of like, eh.
Oh
That's-
yeah.
That's how I was. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to really going into it. You know.
It's ripe. It's ripe for podcast talk. I'll say.
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean,
it's one of those
you know,
movies that you could tell.
the first time I saw it, I wasn't doing a podcast. I wasn't writing a critique of it. So I just watched it and it was over. I didn't think to overanalyze it, but now I like kind of overanalyzing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as far as this movie's concerned, I will say that this discussion has the spoiler again, just like with The Invitation. It has bumped it up. I still do have. I can't avoid some of the things that were dropped. I can't avoid that. I still have that minor complaint about the thing with the twins and.
Oh yeah, well here was
things.
my take on it.
You there, Brendan? Not again.
Let's see.
Oh no, he's dead. He died out. He's gone. There he is. Oh,
thank
it's
goodness.
coming back. It's coming back. It's coming
Thank
back.
goodness. Come on.
Okay, well, what kind of internet do they got there in Jersey?
I know. What the fuck? Good God.
What is it? Third world internet there? I know it's not like a well-respected state, but oh, there he is.
God
There he
damn
is.
it! I'm like shit.
Yeah.
Oh, you better finish your sentence while you're on. Don't. Do you know where you were?
Were you talking about? You were talking about the twins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned the twins.
Yeah,
and
I think that scene was to really portray that you don't have to look too deep into the story. Like it was intriguing in a way, but at the same time, these girls had just made a conscious decision that they're not going to talk, and they were just kind of sick, twisted girls. They was clearly had mental issues. They weren't sick in the sense that they needed help. They were sick in the sense that they were just bad. I mean, that's how I took it. It was almost as if, like she was saying, you don't really need to look into it too much further because Jennifer's looking for an explanation as to why these occurrences are happening when she doesn't really have to look into it because it's really just her causing it the whole time.
So they're evil and she's evil in a way.
Yeah, it's almost like the same. It's almost like mirroring.
Yeah.
Mirroring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She doesn't come off as evil though. She has good friends back in Chicago. The girl comes in, they get along well. She doesn't seem bitchy at all. You know what I mean? I just
there's
she
a lot
apologizes.
there's a lot of themes about women's choice here. There really is. I mean, clearly she didn't want this pregnancy. She tried in some unconventional way to get rid of it, but the fact that now her choice is being denied in a way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
obviously she's too far anyway. She's 7 months. She's got to bring this baby to term at this point. But
Well, she throws herself down a flight of stairs, or
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
or does she? But
Yeah, but so it's almost like her anger is building up because she's stuck.
is the title a misdirection, or because it's called The House on Pine Street,
Right.
which then would allude to a haunted house, or I guess just where this action is taking place, all this part of the story is taking place. But we've got, the pre-story that sets it up, and things do happen outside of this house, but I guess all the main action, the hauntings, if you will, happen at the house, of course, because that's traditional. However, the title kind of dictates that it's a haunted house story. Does
Yeah,
it not?
It's a bit of a dupe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they could have called it The Haunting of Jennifer if they wanted to. Granted, that's fucking plain. You've seen that.
We're getting that left, right, and
The
center.
haunting
I
of
know.
Jennifer.
But something along those lines, maybe a little more, more creative of a title, but something more.
Jennifer's body.
Jennifer's baby.
Jennifer's baby. Nobody puts Jennifer's baby in the corner.
Yes, exactly.
Oh fuck! But yeah, I think it is a misleading title. So I'll tell you what. Like I said, you guys have brought it up for me a little bit. Not to
Yeah.
the point that it's honestly it did go up a full point, but I'm still not giving it all that. Maybe I think you guys are still going to come in higher, but there's still some things about it that I'm a little bit off about. But second view could change that. But like I said, there was a couple angles that didn't go anywhere that I thought may have.
Yeah, to be honest, I actually want another view. I actually want a DVD or Blu-ray copy to watch it on the big screen.
I hope it happens soon.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
So we're are we gonna do a final rating, or is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
No, I'm good. I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
I'm good. I say definitely check out both movies tonight if you haven't seen either one.
Yep, I'll second that.
And yeah, always check out the movies we do, even if we don't like them.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's all subjective.
It is, yeah. No, seriously, because I mean, you saw earlier someone posted about should they see it was Marnie, should she see The Boy in the theaters, and I was like, no. But if you ask Dave and Christian, they'll say yes. And I wrote that exactly. And then there were the other people were posting, yeah, go see it. It was good. And other people were, oh, it was awful.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny how, and it's typically extremes we take.
Yeah. I mean, I would rather see all these movies in the theater. The experience of seeing them on the big screen is fun, even if it's a bad movie. Whatever, you 90 minutes gone, whatever.
And this movie was also kind of long. This was almost 2 hours as well.
Yeah, I noticed that with both these movies. This one ran like close to an hour and 50, and that one and Burnt Offerings was 2 hours.
Yeah.
I didn't find this one felt that long though. It didn't feel as long.
No, it moved. It moved, but both moved. Even though they were, definitely Burnt Offerings was a little bit slower pace, but they moved for longer movies, definitely.
So what was your final rating?
It's weird because now I'm thinking about it, I'm trying to think, is my rating going to stay the same? Is it going to go up a little? There's still a little bit ambiguous about it. I like this movie a lot. My grade is probably going to seem a little low for my half-head explosion, but I'm going to stick with it right now. It's a solid movie. It reminds me not in any way of 10 Cloverfield Lane in terms of the type of movie, but in terms of the way I feel about it at this point. It's like I need more, whether it's more viewings, a director's commentary, something like that. So I'm gonna come in with a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay, I'm an 8 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, that's where I was thinking. I was gonna do 8, but I'm like, I did actually like Burnt Offerings a little more.
Well, I was gonna go 6.5 initially, but like I said, after talking to you guys about it, I went up a full point. I'm 7.5 now.
Nice. I thought you were gonna come up to 7.
No, I figured it was. I figured you guys talked me up a whole full point.
Cool.
Same thing that happened last week. Yep. So
Awesome.
So that's cool. I really got to watch it the second time.
Yeah, I mean these gradings for these last well, not for these last few films, but for a lot of the films are tough sometimes. A lot of the films we're covering are really benefit from a period of time going by, seeing these films multiple times. Films like The Witch, films like this, films like The Invitation.
Yeah, movies. It's difficult.
It is. It is. It's very tough. I mean, it's very easy to watch Rosemary's Baby and be like, "Oh, that's awesome. That's a 10."
Right. Yeah. Of course. Right.
Even Burnt Offerings. I mean, I this was my first time watching it in a while, and I might watch it again in 6 months and be like, you know what? I feel it's a 9, but it's tough.
Yeah, but time does change a lot. How many times you see a movie, it first comes out, you're rated high, and then 5 years later, you're like,
Yeah,
I give it
yeah.
a 9, I'll give it a 7 now after subsequent viewings.
Yeah,
Sometimes it goes up. It's just
your
it's
taste
weird.
change, and
Mhm.
sometimes the movie gets worn out after a while. You know, it doesn't hold up after a certain number of viewings.
Yep. But all in all, pretty good ratings tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, solid films.
Yeah, and a fun show.
Haunted house films are tough. I think they're tough to get right. You know, because you want to see stuff, but you don't want to see too much. And I think these both did a good job of balancing both.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So
unconventional, but done well.
yeah, and that's good. That's nice to see, especially with House on Pine Street, to see something a little different.
Absolutely.
Yeah, people are trying. They're trying.
Nothing wrong with that. That's right. Yeah. So, you guys have anything you guys want to plug before you go? Anything like that?
Just myself, but I'll do that after I go.
You want to plug your bleached asshole?
I got a cork right here. I'll plug it for you.
You want to plug Black Phillip over there, Brandon?
Philip.
Yep.
I'm good. We talked enough about the other podcasts. TGIF 13. We talked enough about that one.
That's true. Yeah.
Earlier.
In actuality, I really need to go back and start listening to your guys' both your back catalogs, because it's ridiculous.
Well, Dave, you'll be you have like I think
Dave,
worth
it'll
of
take me
material.
35 years. I'll be dead before I get to listen to all of them. But
well, there's 53 banana lasers, and there's 100 and some odd skeleton crews, but I wasn't on officially till 100. So, not that you shouldn't listen to all of them, because you definitely should. Without that, I wouldn't be here now. But hey, whatever.
I wouldn't be the simple man I am right now.
That's right. A pretty simple guy. That's me. Mm-hmm.
So viewer's choice next week. Awesome.
Nice.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah, next show. Viewers' choice. Viewers. Now I've never once.
I did it again.
I've never once said viewers. You rubbed off on me finally.
What? But a lot of people do that. It's just
yeah. Shit. It's the lateness of the hour.
Hey, stop rubbing off on me.
Remember the Viewers' Choice Awards back in the day?
That's probably why I keep saying it.
What was that, MTV? The Viewers' Choice.
MTV's Viewers' Choice Awards.
Right.
It never was an MTV's Listeners' Choice Awards.
Right, well, that made sense. You watch MTV. You're a viewer. There used to be a thing called Viewers' Choice. It was like a, back before they had pay-per-view, you used to pay for movies, and back when it was, like, expensive, like in the 80s, and, you'd spend $10 to see a movie on cable. Like a movie. That was called Viewer's Choice, I think, too.
Mm-hmm. When a VHS tape costs like $100.
Yeah, yep, the good old days. Don't lose them, or you're gonna owe us fucking $100. Yep. So let's be out. Next show, Big Show 13, one of our favorite numbers, so that's why we're having fun with it. Listener's Choice, Popcorn, and House of the Devil. We'll have some fun. And then the show after that, we won't
have fun.
That show we might have a special guest. We might have our first special guest, so that's the plan.
Christian's kind of special.
Yeah.
Just look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, Christian, you could bring a special guest too. All right, one of your buddies. Bring them on. Yeah.
Not you, Brandon.
That's right. So we'll see you guys later. Thanks for listening. And what did my daughter say? Something like, what did she say about going to sleep at night or something? At the end of the thing, I was going to use it. I forgot what it was.
Yeah. It was funny.
Everybody get a good night's sleep. Right?
Yeah. Everybody have a good night's sleep.
Right. All right. Everybody have a good night's sleep. So, all right. Goodbye, everybody.